This guy has spent 22 years grinding through the night and has reached the highest level of the eternal world. In the end, he is Yoon Sang-hyuk, the first and only one to survive the worst survival game and earn the ultimate reward. Returning Sang-hyuk, known as the strongest among all players, now holds all the rewards that no one else could earn. Alone, he has reached the maximum level, possessing ultimate items, but he is also the last survivor in the eternal world. On December 31st, 2018, right at the moment of New Year's Eve, 120,000 people suddenly vanished without a trace. The world immediately suffered a series of devastating natural disasters, along with an attack from countless monsters emerging from cracks in space. Countries around the world immediately fought back with their advanced weapons, but even weapons of mass destruction like nuclear bombs could do nothing against these monsters. They are basically impossible to kill. In less than a month, 10% of the world's population had been killed. Humanity stands on the brink of extinction. Just at that moment, a glimmer of hope was ignited when a group of previously missing people suddenly appeared with powers from another world. It turns out that 120,000 people had been taken into a game called the Eternal World. There they fought against countless monsters to survive. Players who die in that world will be brought back to the real world but will lose all their items. Time in that world passes much faster than in the real world. 1 year there is only equivalent to 1 month in reality. As time goes on, the levels of the monsters keep increasing. Top players after 1 year, 2 years could no longer defeat them. But it seems like there is a force quietly controlling the game. When one side gradually dominates, the other side will be boosted in level. The more monsters increase, the more long-time players return to the real world, in proportion to the strength they possess, and finally the player after 22 years returned. Upon returning, what hit Sang-hyuk's eyes was a scene of desolation. Monsters that should have been in the eternal world were roaming freely on the streets. Sang-hyuk glanced around buildings, cast people all exactly like 22 years ago. At this moment, Sang-hyuk dared to believe the words of the system. He really had returned to the real world with all of his items. But the equipment he wore was indeed too eye-catching, and everyone around was focused on Sang-hyuk. With no other option, Sang-hyuk had to go home first and figure things out later. Standing in front of the house, Sang-hyuk recalled the memories from the day he lost his brother in the eternal world in the 12th year. In the eternal world, Jun Sang-hyuk and his brother Jun Sang-min had to face the monster Bigun, who was 10 levels higher than them. Although they successfully drove away the monster, that day was the day Sang-hyuk lost his brother. Sang-hyuk could not have imagined that he would meet his brother again in this real world. After a while of talking, Sang-hyuk learned about the current state of the world and why his brother was still alive. According to Sang-min, the player in the 22nd year is the last player. Unlike those before, the surviving players are all brought back to the real world. There are rumors that the eternal world has completely collapsed, but in the end no one knows if the Faceless Man was able to defeat the Demon King. The Faceless King is the strongest human in the eternal world. Even now, Richard Paulson, the leader of the Absolute Society in the United States, says that the only one who can kill the Demon King can only be the Faceless Man. Sang-min has no idea that the person he greatly admires is sitting right in front of him. Now what Sang-hyuk cares about is information about the real world, so he asked his brother, "This world is changing completely, what is happening?" Sang-min explained that as time goes on, stronger monsters are spawning and higher levels are appearing, making everything worse. After that, Sang-min asked about Sang-hyuk's current level because he wanted his brother to join his guild, the Bell Guild. As soon as he heard this name, Sang-hyuk's attitude completely changed. In the eternal world, due to the ease of leveling up, players from the Bell Guild continuously slaughter weaker players and mistreat them like slaves. Finally, with no other choice, Sang-hyuk slaughtered them all himself. Seeing his brother tense, Sang-min hurriedly explained, "I know they don't have a good reputation, but they have improved since before. I'm sure they would want you to join." But Sang-hyuk's attitude did not change at all. He wants you to withdraw from the guild. No matter what, trash is still trash. He wants you out of the guild immediately. If you don't do it, then let me know. Sang-min, feeling a bit tense, asked back, "Why are you so sure?" "Exactly what level are you?" Sang-hyuk calmly said that he reached max level a long time ago. Sang-min couldn't stay calm and shouted, "Level 10,000, don't joke with me. The highest level player right now is the Sun Knight, Richard Paulson, at level 228. But after calming down, he realized that there couldn't be a level 10,000 in the eternal world. Seeing his brother freaking out like a crazy person, Sang-hyuk directly opened his inventory. Sang-min saw the inventory and was completely stunned. But what shocked him even more was the mask of the Faceless King in his brother's hand. Sang-hyuk did not hide and admitted his identity. Sang-min slammed the table and shouted loudly, "Enemy, your brother is the Masked King!" And suddenly Sang-min remembered something and asked his brother, "Wait, how could you open the treasure vault then?" Players returning to the real world have lost all weapons and items in the game as well as other things except for the status window and leveling system. Upon hearing this, Sang-hyuk suddenly remembered the reward received for defeating the Demon King. So everything has been explained reasonably. After hearing this, Sang-min went crazy, holding his head and screaming, "So you really killed the Demon King as rumored? You returned, and that was surprising enough, and yet you also killed the Demon King." "This isn't a dream, right?" Sang-hyuk was left speechless. "But it's just the top one server. Do we need such a reaction?" To commemorate returning to the real world, Sang-hyuk decided to gift his younger brother a few small toys. After learning that his brother's level was 154, Sang-hyuk chose a suitable item from his numerous high-end gear. He reached one hand into the space bag and started rummaging. The space bag is simply a mobile bag between dimensions, and usually only high-level players possess such equipment. What Sang-hyuk pulled out was a pair of swords Trust and Fury from Hamuri. This is a unique level equipment with extremely high attack power. If placed outside, it would lead to fights among countless high-level players. Sang-min was overjoyed to receive the gift from his brother, but suddenly realized he couldn't use this pair of swords. Right now, Sang-min lacked 32 strength points to reach 150. Seeing this, Sang-hyuk half dove into the space bag to search for items. Having too many high-quality items can be a hassle. Sang-hyuk took a while to find 3 suitable equipment: Lupus ring with +10 strength, CPA bracelet with +10 strength, and CPA necklace with +15 strength. Sang-min stared blankly at the pile of equipment before him. He never expected to own such high-quality gear one day. On another side, in a village in Japan, a man was using his mind power to activate the crystal ball in front of him. After a while, the ball emitted the voice of a woman. "Long time no see, haven't the others arrived yet?" This is the secret meeting of the highest level players from around the world, due to the return of the legendary Masked King. Right after returning, Sang-hyuk was led by his younger brother to register as an official player, as the government was very strict about managing players who returned from the eternal world. If players do not comply, they will be severely punished. The two brothers were out for a stroll when they encountered a group of players fully equipped for battle. Sang-hyuk wondered why, as his brother had said it was not possible to bring equipment outside. So what were those? Sang-min explained, "Oh, you didn't know, those were created in the real world. In the real world, even if you kill monsters, no items drop at all. Wizards and those with crafting systems cooperate with large companies to create equipment for players. But the quality of these items is very poor. They are not even half as good as the weapons in that world." Hearing this, Sang-hyuk suddenly remembered some old acquaintances he hadn't seen in a long time, and he turned to smile at Sang-min. "By the way, I want to ask you for a favor. I want to meet a few people. Can you find them for me?" After hearing the description, Sang-min took his brother to the Twilight Workshop. Arriving at the workshop door, Sang-min still couldn't believe it and asked his brother again, "Are the people you want to meet really here? Are you sure you know this person?" Seeing his younger brother look worried, Sang-hyuk asked, "What's wrong? Do you know him?" Sang-bin, filled with admiration, said, "Who doesn't know the blacksmith of Twilight? Although he is not from the combat system, he is one of the 400 most outstanding people in the attack on the Demon King's castle. Moreover, the Twilight Workshop is where famous people from around the world come to have equipment made. I have always dreamed of having equipment made for me here." After entering the workshop, the two were greeted by a female receptionist. "Welcome to the Twilight Workshop. How can I assist you two?" Sang-hyuk got straight to the point. "I came here to meet Lee Cheol-gu, but since I don't have an appointment," Sang-hyuk was immediately refused. "I'm sorry, but you cannot meet him without a prior appointment." Sang-min, feeling anxious, whispered to his brother, "Do you really know him?" I don't understand why, knowing that his brother is the top player on the server, this young man is still overly worried. Sang-hyuk reassured his brother and then asked the receptionist. Upon learning that Lee Cheol-gu was in the workshop, Sang-hyuk immediately rushed to find him, surprising the two people around him, including the receptionist. Although she chased after him, she couldn't keep up with the player's speed, and she could only helplessly try to stop him. In the underground workshop, countless top-quality equipment from weapons to armor hung everywhere on the walls. In the center of the room was the one who created them, the Twilight blacksmith Lee. Cheol-gu was carefully crafting equipment when suddenly a familiar voice called his name. He turned around to see Sang-hyuk standing in front of him, followed by the female receptionist who was panting. Without having time to greet, Sang-hyuk pointed at the girl and said, "You have to give her a bonus. She told me you were here." The receptionist was startled and continuously bowed to apologize, but she didn't expect that the boss wouldn't scold her, but would even reward her. Truly lucky. After the receptionist left, the atmosphere between the two long-separated men became joyful. Cheol-gu grabbed Sang-hyuk's neck and said, "You bastard, why should I be happy to see the one who brought me to that scary place when all I wanted was to quietly be a blacksmith? It seems that their relationship was very good as they had fought together in the journey to defeat the Demon King. In a touching moment of reunion, Sang-hyuk suddenly pulled out a hammer, startling Cheol-gu. What? How do you have this hammer? How could you bring equipment from that world? Sang-hyuk saw Cheol-gu in shock and smiled smugly. That's the reward for completing the final mission. I get to bring the inventory and the pet space with me. Cheol-gu's eyes widened after hearing this. He did not expect that the Demon King would be defeated. Then Cheol-gu extended his hand. Please give me back the hammer. Thank God I can finally reunite with my hammer. But there's no such good stuff. Sang-hyuk immediately pulled the hammer back. Why is this your hammer? It's mine. Of course it's yours because you picked it up after I died. But thinking of the time we spent together, I will return the hammer to you if you listen to my request from the past. In the eternal world, the blacksmith Twilight Cheol-gu was diligently forging when an unknown kid walked into the blacksmith shop. Although Cheol-gu chased him away, he was attracted by a bag full of high-grade items. Efron's iron black ore and Denat's horn are all hard-to-find S-grade items. While Cheol-gu was still in shock, the young man made a request to craft a piece of equipment, which was a mask. It was at that moment that the top player of the Disguise Human server officially appeared. Back to the present, Sang-hyuk was looking around while evaluating. This workshop is much bigger than I thought. I didn't expect such a small workshop to be this large now. Cheol-gu did not care and started chatting with Sang-min sitting next to him. Good, you look good too. Unlike someone who felt they were about to be talked about. Sang-hyuk quickly returned to the table to talk. As soon as he sat down, he was asked by Cheol-gu about the outcome of the Eternal World. So what happened? Did you really clear that world? Mentioning this, Sang-hyuk suddenly became tense. He was silent for a moment before answering, I thought so. I spent 22 years to wipe out the demon army and finally defeat Demon King Ban, but what I really killed was just Ban's clone. Seeing the dissatisfaction in her words, Cheol-gu laughed loudly to break the tense atmosphere. Who would have thought that the Disguise King couldn't even tell the difference between a clone and the real one? But these words made Sang-hyuk think even more. He felt that his 22 years of effort was like a joke. At this moment, Sang-bin spoke up. But at least you are back now, and you even received the reward for completing the final mission. Sang-hyuk felt somewhat comforted after hearing this. After all, everything in the eternal world is over. The important thing is the real world. After some reflection, Chonu asked Sang-hyuk, so what do you want him to do? Finally, we got to the main topic. Sang-hyuk smiled cunningly and said, it's simple from now on, I will come here often, so make me your top priority customer. I also want to get my brother another piece of equipment, but if others recognize it, it could be quite troublesome, so it will need to change its appearance. What else could it be? These things are just like any other for the blacksmith Twilight. Cheol-gu didn't hesitate and accepted the request immediately. All right, it's that simple. Now give me the hammer. Before Cheol-gu could finish his sentence, he was stabbed by his beloved hammer. The uncle cherished the hammer in his hand like a treasure, but suddenly realized he didn't have enough strength points to use it. The uncle looked over at Sang-hyuk and shouted, Hey, how can you use this? You haven't even reached level 100 yet. Sang-hyuk scoffed and reached into his spatial bag, pulling out 3 items to increase strength points. Seeing his previous items thrown away like trash, the uncle couldn't stand it. You should have given me these from the start, don't tease me anymore. Sang-min looked over confused and asked, What are those? Sang-hyuk explained, It may look simple, but those are all specialized tools for the master blacksmith. A blacksmith's hammer is not just the best tool, it also has many special skills, but to use it you need strength and endurance over 200. After hearing this, Sang-min was a bit confused, but he didn't know that this was what earned the title of the renowned blacksmith Dusk in the eternal world. After Sang-hyuk handed over the items, he went to the restroom, leaving the two to do whatever they wanted. In the meantime, Cheol-gu talked to Sang-min. I don't want to admit it, but he really is amazing. Sang-min innocently asked back, Is the Faceless King really that strong? I've only heard rumors. After learning that Sang-min died in the 12th year, Cheol-gu continued, Well, then you don't know your brother. In that world there are people who can do everything. Just by existing, he could turn impossible into possible. He is the one who can take the neck of the Noma's dragon even after losing 3 energy bombs from it. He is the one who single-handedly wiped out the demon army that even the 4 largest guilds combined with the American Absolute Guild couldn't defeat, and he could do many more things. That's your brother. He would be even more amazing if he hadn't pushed me into that elite team of 400 people. Speaking of this, Cheol-gu was a bit frustrated. Sang-min, hearing about his brother's greatness for the first time, asked, You don't hate him, right? Cheol-gu laughed loudly. Ha ha, even if I wanted to, I couldn't hate him. Just then Sang-hyuk came out with a mask in hand. the mask of the faceless king. The one who made the mask for you is him. That is the item that made the name Faceless Man, and also the lifelong masterpiece of the blacksmith Dusk. At this moment, Sang-hyuk and Cheolgu exchanged looks full of camaraderie. Both of them understood each other too well and shared absolute trust. After finishing their conversation, Sang-hyuk asked, "Oh, do you have a big castle around Seoul?" Sang-min, hearing this, was confused and didn't understand his brother's intentions, while Cheolgu seemed to know something and looked horrified. Sang-hyuk then smiled wickedly. "That's right, since you've returned you should move to a new house." After leaving the Dusk workshop, it was already late at night. The two brothers went to South Korea but did not return home and went straight to the only castle in Seoul. This place is heavily guarded by the military because if the monsters cross the boundary, there will be an invasion of monsters. So the military is taking precautions against any incidents. Just as they intended to approach for a closer look, a soldier stopped the two brothers. "What are you doing here? This place is off limits." Sang-min quickly pushed his brother away and explained that they were just passing through. But Sang-hyuk's gaze was always focused on this castle. The thing that emerged right in the middle of the National Museum of Korea returned a few hours before Sang-hyuk said he wanted to move houses. Cheolgu was astonished and asked again, "Are you planning to raid the castle from the monsters again?" Sang-min, who was listening, did not understand what was going on and asked, Can you explain it to me?" Cheolgu explained, "Never mention it again. Your uncle conquered the castle of the Vampire Queen and lived there. It's not just that he conquered it. He also treated the final boss of the castle like a slave and even renamed it to False Face." Returning to the real world, Sang-hyuk's intention remained unchanged. He asked if there was a castle that appeared in Seoul that he could conquer. Cheolgu suddenly became serious and mentioned the name Nightmare Castle, and that is where Sang-hyuk and Sang-min were standing. After observing for a while, Sang-hyuk assessed, "The location is great. There are mountains behind the river in front and there's convenient transportation too." But Sang-min sadly said, "That's true, but our home, you can't bear to leave the house full of family memories." Seeing his brother sad, Sang-hyuk spoke up, "Don't worry, I'm not going to sell it. That's the precious house that Mom left for us. But as long as I am still the False Face King, something will definitely happen. If I stay there, the monsters might attack the house or other players might target my equipment. Let's live somewhere else until the situation improves." Sang-bin, having been enlightened by the chi technique, finally understood the issue, but before he could finish, Sang-hyuk decided to enter. Sang-min hurriedly tried to stop him. "Wait, there are too many security guards." But Sang-hyuk had already calculated everything. He opened the cloak and confidently said, "Do you really think I came here unprepared? The invisibility cloak will cover us." After equipping the invisibility cloak, the two brothers split up to get past the security team and then met at the foot of the castle. After experiencing the wonders of this item, Sang-min immediately asked his brother for one. "The invisibility cloak will cover us." After equipping the cloak, the two brothers split up to get past the security team, then met each other at the foot of the castle. After experiencing the wonders of this item, Sang-min immediately asked his brother for one. On the way into the castle, Sang-hyuk asked his brother if the Nightmare Castle hadn't been attacked yet. Then everyone must have been weaker upon returning, right? Sang-min explained that in the Nightmare Castle there were the Kill Bird and IQ Bird both attacking the mind, so it was a bit difficult. After hearing this, Sang-hyuk wondered if the strong mages had returned yet. They still hadn't created any magical items immune to that. Sang-min continued to explain that there are many strong mages with good skills, but so what? Even if they wanted to make artifacts, there are no materials to craft them. Artifacts require mana stones and other materials. Fortunately, a mountain has risen between London and a mana stone quarry has been found there. After chatting for a while, the two brothers arrived in front of the city wall. This wall is towering and difficult to overcome easily, but that's not a problem for a facade human. Sang-hyuk immediately opened his inventory and equipped his ancient dragon armor, the strongest armor made from the scales of the dragon in the eternal world. Sang-hyuk picked up his younger brother in his arms and jumped over the city wall. True to being the top of the server, this was as simple as weaving a basket. Sang-hyuk was eager to see what the monsters in the real world would look like. Inside the castle, the final boss was also waiting for the visit of the uninvited guests. In front of the castle was a vast flower garden, exuding a fragrant aroma truly unlike the dwelling of monsters at all. Seeing his younger brother in a daze, Sang-hyuk warned, "Be careful. This is just the starting point. Nightmares use mind control magic to drain the souls of others. If you let your guard down, you will die, leaving only bones." After hearing that, Sang-min felt a bit scared, but being with his brother gave him some reassurance. Since he had decided to live here, Sang-hyuk knocked loudly on the door to announce to the monsters that he was coming. After all, this is his new home. As if to respond to the announcement, the castle door automatically opened to welcome the two players. The two brothers did not hesitate and immediately moved inside despite the door behind them slowly closing. Inside the castle was vast and clean with no sign of any monsters. The air carried a fragrance even sweeter than that of Sang-hyuk's flower garden. Immediately Sang-min reminded his brother, if the smell gets stronger, hold your breath. The source of this fragrance is nightmare pollen. If you get lost in it, the nightmares will attack you. But as soon as young Sang-min acknowledged this, he was immediately affected. He suddenly heard strange laughter echoing through the space. Fortunately, Sang-hyuk gave him a slap, bringing Sang-min back from his daze. Wake up, buddy! After that, the two brothers continued their journey to explore the castle. Sang-min looked around as he walked, feeling a bit worried. Is it okay for us to wander around like this? Sang-hyuk reassured him, don't worry, I'm here. They're just killer monsters. Even if a whole legion of them came, it wouldn't be a problem. But to be safe, Sang-hyuk tossed his brother a ring. If you're too worried, wear this. That's a soul attack defense equipment. But how is it that this young man was surrounded by a group of succubus as soon as he put on the ring? They transformed into the looks of sexy girls and seduced. Come here, Sang-min hero. We've been waiting for a long time. Surely heroes these days must be very handsome. Do you want to have some fun with me? As a young man, Sang-min couldn't resist. He gradually sank into pleasure and lost his mind. Just then, Sang-hyuk, radiating an overwhelming aura, shouted loudly, That's enough! If you continue to release that strong scent, I will kill you. Sang-hyuk's eyes shone. This was the gaze that had killed countless monsters, big and small, in another world. The succubus sensed they were about to perish. Quickly fled, but Sang-min still hadn't awakened from his daze, drooling while watching the succubus, and said, Beautiful is truly a burden. Sang-hyuk woke his younger brother and held his face in disappointment. He was so disappointed, Jun Sang-min, they are just low-level beauties. Sang-min felt guilty for his mistake and lowered his head. Once again he advised his brother to leave, but once Sang-hyuk had made up his mind, it would not change. Don't worry, when I make the master of this place submit, it will be fine. On the way to the second floor, Sang-min asked his brother, Brother, are they really beauties? Sang-hyuk explains to his clueless sister that Sakura bird looks very different from all other types of monsters. They change appearance based on who sees them. Sang-min was still blaming himself for what had just happened, feeling guilty for not being able to help his brother and causing trouble instead. After reaching the second floor of the castle, a long corridor appeared before the two brothers with rows of shiny knight armor on either side. Just looking through, Sang-hyuk saw everything. He approached one of the armors and said, Look, she is quite lovely, isn't she? I thought the Queen of Beauty would be a bit different. Of course it's not a special event. What are you planning to hide here, host? Suddenly a pair of bright purple eyes flew out from the empty armor. A figure broke through the armor. Having been discovered, it was trying to escape. But life is not a dream. Sang-hyuk would not let it go that easily. He decided to sign a slave contract with this boss to control the castle. Sang-hyuk immediately chased after the shadow that flew out. But when he blocked the boss's path, Sang-hyuk suddenly froze and involuntarily uttered the name Lily. In the past, in the eternal world before fighting the demon king, Sang-hyuk had a fierce battle with the beauty queen Lilith. Their battle was so fierce that it destroyed all surrounding architecture. All that remained was rubble. With just one attack, the sword in Sang-hyuk's hand shattered into many pieces. Seeing that Lilith smirked with satisfaction, You managed to block this attack, you're quite skilled. But you won't be able to avoid it anymore. As the words ended, one of her horns suddenly fell off, rolling on the ground. Indeed, early bird gets the worm. Sang-hyuk looked at his opponent with contempt. Hurry up, I don't have time. Besides you, I have to deal with many others. Unable to bear the humiliation, Lilith rushed in to fight with all her might. Back to the present, this boss looked exactly like Lilith, but in a child version. Sang-hyuk was a bit stunned. Lilith, what are you doing? Are you really Lilith? The boss didn't care and fled, but she was easily caught by Sang-hyuk, with one hand lifted into the air like a child. The boss struggled frantically, not caring about Sang-hyuk's questions. Sang-hyuk couldn't take it anymore and said seriously, Kid, don't make me ask twice. What is your name? The boss turned pale with fear and had to obediently reply, Lilith. After hearing the answer, Sang-hyuk still doubted, Are you really Lilith? But why did you turn into a child? Just then, an unexpected explosion occurred. A group of high-ranking demons suddenly appeared, kidnapping Lilith. A high-ranking demon named Marianne had kidnapped Sang-min and threatened, Don't cause trouble, just go back. If you listen to us, we'll let him go. But they had threatened the wrong person. Sang-hyuk donned a mask, exuding a terrifying, murderous aura. I think you're mistaken about something. You should ask instead of ordering me around. Sensing danger, Marianne ordered her subordinates to charge. But Sang Hyuk easily jumped into the air, dodging the attack and circling behind her. Do you think just 8 people can fight me? By the time she reacted, Sang Hyuk had successfully rescued the wait named Sang Min. The Skullbirds, seeing that close combat wasn't working, immediately used fireballs to attack from a distance. But with such a turtle-like speed, how could they hit Sang Hyuk? He easily dodged the dense attacks, then stood threateningly. Try again and I'll cut off all your fingers. The Scarlet Birds were terrified and could only stand frozen in place. Only Marian remained composed enough to launch an attack, but her strongest attack was immediately destroyed by a powerful thunderbolt emitted from the sword in Sang Hyuk's hand. Even Lilith had been captured by Sang Hyuk. The Scarlet Birds could not resist and could only sit down and talk civilly. In the castle's bedroom, a conversation took place between Sakura Bird and the player. From the information he had, Sang Hyuk confidently asserted that this was not Dream Demon City, but Enchantment City, the private residence of Queen Sakura Bird. In the castle's bedroom, a conversation took place between Sakura Bird and the players. Based on the information he knew, Sang Hyuk confidently asserted that this was not the Dream Demon City, but the Enchantment City, the private residence of Queen Sakura Bird. Lily, at this moment, Marian spoke up. Lilith still did not know the situation well, since she had just woken up not 100 days ago. Here there was only Marian as the highest-ranked Sakura Bird along with a few subordinates. This was quite strange, since the Eternal World had many enchantment cities with countless Sakura Birds living in them, but all Sakura Birds knew nothing at all. They just opened their eyes and found themselves in this place. After a moment of reflection, Sang Hyuk decided to believe these words. They had no reason to lie. Then he took out a dependency contract and asked Lilith to sign it. Lilith naively had no idea what this was. This was the first time she had seen this since waking up. Marian immediately spoke up to stop. Don't sign, Lilith. If you sign that, you will be a slave to that person for life. The good thing was about to happen, causing Sang Hyuk to become angry and exude killing intent. Hey, it seems this is not your place. The Sakura Birds immediately rushed in to protect Lilith, but Sang Hyuk had no malicious intent. He gently patted Lilith's head and said, Don't misunderstand me. I will definitely protect you. Then Sang Hyuk turned to the high-ranking Sakura Birds. Are you confident that you can protect this place if someone like me comes back? Although very angry, the Sakura Birds could not refute that. They were indeed too weak. Sang Hyuk gently said to Lilith, All right then. Let's change the content of the contract until Lilith awakens and becomes the holy vessel. If Lilith doesn't want to, I will cancel the contract neatly. This is a high-level contract. If violated, the soul will be completely destroyed. After clearly understanding all the terms in the contract, Lilith decided to sign. Marian still intended to stop her, but it had no effect. Lilith signed the contract with her blood, and a beam of light immediately surrounded the two, indicating that the contract had been successfully signed. Now Sang Hyuk had become the master of a harem, oh no, the master of this enchanting city. All the noble beings regarded him as their supreme master and bowed. Sang Hyuk smiled smugly and decided to announce the return of the Faceless King to the world. On another side, in the Monument Valley of America, 2 high-level players were frantically killing monsters. One of them was considered the strongest in the world. The leader of the Absolute Guild, the Sun Knight, Richard Paulson, level 228. After a fierce battle, the monsters were completely eliminated. Richard ordered his teammates to check if any items dropped from the monsters while he sat down to relax. Just then someone ran over to show Richard some news they had just seen. Richard broke into a delighted smile. It was news about the Faceless Man reappearing in South Korea. Not only in America but everywhere in the world received news that the Faceless Man had returned. This is currently the hottest news on the front page of all newspapers. Not just players but ordinary people are also interested in this issue. Right now in Seoul, a meeting between the Faceless Man and the Manhwa Guild is taking place. The president of the Manhwa Association is Cho In-shok Heo, level 102. Upon seeing him, Jia Dienyan spoke up. Long time no see, Burberry. What's going on? It seems like you're waiting for me. Are you begging for forgiveness for the wrongs you've done? At this moment, Cho In-shok was sweating cold. He still couldn't forget his horrific death in the other world. He was cautious with every word he spoke. In the other world, we made a huge mistake. We will not repeat such actions again. Please forgive us. After hearing this, Jia Dienyan laughed. Haha, what an interesting world, right? Isn't that so, begging for forgiveness from the one who took your own life? All right, I will forgive you. However, there's a condition. Tomorrow hold a press conference immediately and talk about all your abusive behavior. Don't mix in any lies or exaggerations. If you don't do that, then what punishment will I return with? What to do now? After thinking for a long time, Cho In-shok finally answered, yes, I will do that. This was also the response that Jia Dienyan desired. A wise choice. From now on, everything accumulated will become a difficult period to collapse, but nothing can be achieved without pain. Endure and endure again. If you overcome that pain, then I will help you walk the kind path. The next morning, the apology to the people from the Manhwa Association was published across all the newspapers. It's never too late to start over. On the other side, in front of the Jia Diantang gate, it was packed with reporters from all the newspapers, all eager to directly interview the legendary figure Jia Dianyan. At this moment, the head of the Player Management Bureau, Oh Chun, was wearing a sly smile. He seemed to have some dirty plan targeting Jia Dianyan. An employee reminded him, "Director, is it all right to just go in like this? I am Park Song-jik in the 12th year in the Eternal World. The Masked King in the other world is truly terrifying. If you provoke him, the consequences are unimaginable." But before he could finish, Oh Chun yelled at him fiercely, "What do you want to do now?" That masked guy doesn't greet anyone and just turns back. I don't know how wonderful that guy is, but I am Oh Chun, the director of the Player Management Bureau of the Republic of Korea. If you're going back, you should come find me. What are you doing? While shouting, he went to bang on the gate of Jiadiantang like a fool. In response to this action, the gate opened automatically. Seeing this, Oh Chun put his hands on his hips and laughed triumphantly, haha. It should have been like this from the beginning. Let's see how wonderful this guy really is. Everyone around was left speechless in amazement. Only Park Song-shich paid attention to the situation inside the gate. When he saw a wave of pink mist pouring out, he hurriedly shouted, "Director! A dream, everyone stop breathing, get out of here now." But it was already too late. The dream atmosphere had engulfed everyone. Fortunately, everyone managed to pinch their noses shut, except for Oh Chun, who fell for the trap. He stripped off his clothes and danced in a frenzy like a madman. The reporters seized this opportunity and continuously took pictures and filmed. At this moment, Sang-hyuk and his younger brother were quietly observing from the side. Suddenly, Sang-hyuk's phone received a call. The caller managed to hide their phone number to conceal their identity. Sang-hyuk sensed something was off, told his brother to go home first, and went to a quiet place to answer the call. As soon as he picked up, he heard the voice of an acquaintance he hadn't seen in a long time, Jia Diannan. Sang-hyuk immediately recognized it was Rosalia's voice and asked, "How do you know my number?" Jay smugly replied, "Do you think there's anything I don't know? I am Jay, the leader of the Dark Trade Guild of the Eternal World." Sang-hyuk hesitated for a moment, and then decided to ask what the other person wanted. Just as he was about to hang up because of some lame jokes, Jay suddenly spoke up, "Don't you have anything for me?" Sang-hyuk was a bit surprised, but still tried to remain calm. "What do you mean?" Jay continued, "It's just that if it's Jia Dianyan, you should have something to bring. There will be an auction in the basement called the Dark Trade Guild. But I don't have anything to auction." Sang-hyuk was about to hang up when he hit the nail on the head. If it's the other world, then who knows, but here you need money, right? After thinking for a long time, Sang-hyuk made a decision. "I will give you a ring that reduces 5% mana consumption, increases 5% fire resistance, and increases 5% effectiveness of fire magic." Jay immediately recognized it was the ring of the Crimson Sorceress upon hearing this. If it were her, even if she had to sell her house, she would buy this ring. Jay smiled wickedly as he thought of this bargain. After Sang-hyuk asked about the transaction method, she immediately replied, "I am using the Gyeongseong trading station in South Korea. I will send you the details via message." Before Sang-hyuk could react, the other party hung up. Although he had some doubts, he still decided to follow the instructions. Sang-hyuk carefully went to the nearby Gyeongseong. After opening the designated locker, he discovered a large iron chest. When he returned home, Sang-min was left speechless at the huge amount of money inside the chest. Accompanying it was an envelope containing a book of immense value. The total amount reached 10 billion, which was indeed a staggering figure. The next day, countless red trucks continuously moved toward the false front. The group of reporters witnessing it did not understand what was happening anymore. The mastermind behind this was none other than Uncle Cheol-gu. As soon as he got out of the car, Uncle was led by 3 sucubus. Although somewhat cautious, Cheol-gu still followed them to meet Sang-hyuk. As soon as they met, before saying a word, Cheol-gu grabbed Sang-hyuk by the neck, teaching him a lesson. "After all, this kid had caused trouble. Do you know how chaotic this world has become because of you?" Sang-hyuk immediately showed he understood. I know, I should take this off and talk." He still remained unconsciously strong like that, but he agreed nonetheless. Regarding the transfer of the Twilight Workshop here, Cheol-gu crossed his arms, sat down and discussed. "Who would think I came here because I like you? Here there are all the materials available in the other world. How could I refuse your request? More importantly, is there electricity here? I heard that magic electricity doesn't work in altered terrain, so that would take some time. If you're planning to manually do everything that was done in the other world..." Then before Cheol-gu could finish his sentence, he was choked by Sang-hyuk for a month. "If it could be done in a month, that would be great. Gu jumped up after hearing that. How could it be done in time? If you're skilled, go ahead. Sang Hyuk smiled cunningly, then made an irresistible, attractive offer. In the future, I will give priority rights to the monster byproducts I receive to the Twilight Workshop. Isn't that acceptable? Gu was a bit angry, but this offer was indeed too tempting. But the first requirement is to have a magic generator. Of course, Sang Hyuk had anticipated this issue. He took from his inventory the most important item to create the magic generator, the heart of a phoenix. Such a precious item, Sang Hyuk casually had 3 to throw out. He had plenty of things like this and could provide them to Gu whenever necessary. While Gu was happily holding the item, Sang Hyuk suddenly mentioned another proposal. The scene gradually shifted back to the past in the Eternal World. In the final mission, Sang Hyuk and his masked army were fighting with all their might against the Demon King's army. The masked army was sacrificing their lives to pave a way for Sang Hyuk the monarch here. Leave it to us and move forward. We are the masked army created by the monarch. We can still handle this to defeat the Demon King. You need to conserve your strength and not waste time here, so hurry up. Before Sang Hyuk could be moved, the Demon King appeared behind him. It's truly full of affection, isn't it? Just as Sang Hyuk turned around, he was knocked away by a leader. The power of the Demon King is indeed terrifying. Just one fireball almost took Sang Hyuk out. At this moment, the Demon King slowly walked up to Sang Hyuk, his face full of disdain. So disappointing. I thought the faceless man would be a bit different. Just at that moment, countless sharp spikes rushed in from afar. Those were countless continuous attacks from the masked army, but to the Demon King, they were just an itch to scratch. He only needed to wave his hand to block all attacks. The Demon King regarded the masked army as mere insects and would deal with them before eliminating the faceless man Sang Hyuk. Despite being heavily injured, he still struggled to whisper orders for everyone to fall back. At that moment, the leader of the masked army, Baek-young, teleported in front of Sang Hyuk. "Commander, we will buy you time. You should retreat first." Sang Hyuk immediately knew this was just a lie. The entire masked army would fight desperately to buy him time to escape. Baek-young then entrusted Sang Hyuk to Gu and returned to the battle. Sang Hyuk was unwilling to run away cowardly like that. He used all his remaining strength to say, "Bishdong, this is an order. Everyone fall back. Even if it's just one person, they must survive. Quickly get me a recovery item." But Bishdong remained resolute in his decision. "Only the faceless man can defeat the Demon King, so you must be stronger now and complete the mission. That is the goal of the masked army." After saying that, Baek-young immediately left, ignoring Sang Hyuk's cries. Sang Hyuk, too heavily injured, spat blood and immediately fainted. After waking up, all he saw was a battlefield full of smoke and the corpses of the masked army. Sang Hyuk could no longer bear it and looked up at the sky screaming, "Damn you, Demon King, just wait, you bastard." Returning to the present, Sang Hyuk had already put on his armor to prepare to meet his former subordinates, namely the 3 leaders of the masked army, the commander Baek-young, level 165, the deputy commander of the masked army Kazatu, level 132, and Hoabang, level 138. After inquiring about their health, Sang Hyuk got to the main issue. "Are we still in contact with the other members?" Baek-young immediately replied, "Knowing that the monarch is in Seoul, everyone has gathered in Seoul. Everyone is prepared to welcome the monarch back. I heard that a friend has brought his whole family to immigrate and they are all waiting for the monarch's orders. Please give the command." Sang Hyuk felt a bit of pressure after hearing this, but it also proved his status in the eyes of the entire army. The musket Sang Hyuk smiled proudly and threw Baek-young a suitcase containing 3 billion. "With that amount, relocate the army headquarters here." The 3 people were shocked, mouths agape, frozen in place with the enormous budget. The facade was quickly built into the headquarters for the army. At this moment, Sang Hyuk and Gu were standing aside watching. The speed was much faster than Sang Hyuk had thought. Gu explained that there was no other way, but if counting the number of people involved in this work, including the masked army, there would be over 100 people. Moreover, the furnace of the Dawn Workshop would soon be operational, so the time would be shortened. After hearing this, Sang Hyuk felt somewhat reassured. Now he would have to quickly prepare to conquer the world. Sang Hyuk's face suddenly became dangerous when this issue was mentioned. Gu also sensed that this world was about to welcome a change that would shake the earth and sk. Right now in Italy, a transaction with the Scarlet Witch level 205 was about to take place. Exactly at 1 o'clock, a man suddenly appeared. He didn't say a word but presented the item for this transaction. Upon seeing the item in the box, the Scarlet Witch recognized that this was her ring. She couldn't believe that this could appear in the real world. This must be related to the recent return of the faceless man. The man didn't discuss the origin of the item further and immediately proceeded with the transaction. 20 billion, do you want to buy it? The Scarlet Witch was already accustomed to these types of transactions. She made a phone call and transferred the 20 billion in one swift move. After checking the account, the man stood up to leave. Just then the Scarlet Witch was about to ask about the ring when the man interrupted, saying that the faceless man's return was true. After confirming this news, the Scarlet Witch smiled knowingly and wondered what else she would do. Our monarch in Gangwon is currently witnessing a sudden monster invasion, countless monsters spilling out to attack every human they see. Everything is engulfed in smoke and flames and despair. Sang-hyuk was currently discussing strategy with his subordinates at the War Mountain Canyon in the Eternal World, famously known as the Paradise of Andes, currently located in Gangwon Province with many mountains and vast fields. Therefore, when the monster invasion occurred, evacuation orders would be issued simultaneously in the neighboring cities. It is said that the damage caused by Andes is very significant, which is a troubling issue for the government. After hearing the report, Sang-hyuk made a decision. All right, the first attack will be here. The masked army will handle the places where the government cannot intervene. Isn't it a very striking picture to attract everyone's attention? Prepare the largest mobilization ceremony possible. The entire Republic of Korea? Oh no, let the whole world know about the new beginning of the masked army. Truly as expected from the top server, when you boast you must do it grandly. A reporter is currently reporting outside of Jiadiantang saying, "Greetings to the audience, I am reporter Lee Hongkwang, a correspondent in Jiadiantang. Right now the image being sent to you is in front of the main gate of Jiadiantang. In just a little while the masked army will march out. It is said that today Jiadianyan has assigned a very big mission to the masked army. They say they will go to eliminate the War Mountain Alley that we are all terrified of. Perhaps the ceremony for the march is about to begin." Just then the gate of Jiadiantang opens, and the masked army immediately appears fully equipped, led by Commander Baek Jung. All attention is focused on this army. At this moment, Baek Jung recalls the moment when he was taken by Sang-hyuk to the equipment storage. Later on, if you want to work, it will be very hard with that equipment. If you need anything, just say so, because everything is available. Later, everyone will have a lot of work to do, so consider that a waste of talent selection. The three leaders of the masked army, after entering the room, were left speechless in astonishment. All the equipment was from the Eternal World, and they could not believe they could encounter them again. Back in the present, Baek, after boosting the morale of the team, begins to advance towards the War Canyon. The entire process is recorded and live-streamed on television. Sang-hyuk and Lilith are not participating in this battle, but are watching television at home. Lilith, having returned to being a child, has had some changes in her temperament. In no time she has devoured 10 ice cream pops. Sang-hyuk urges Lilith to finish this pop and get to work. Lilith, although not understanding anything, obediently follows along. At some building, a guard happily watching the news of the masked army's advance is struck by Lilith and collapses on the spot. This is exactly the target of this trip for the two of them. As Lilith enters, she senses a massive source of magical power radiating from here. It seems to be more complex than it appears. This is the underground tomb of Braden in the Eternal World. This is where the followers serve the gods and the knights rest in peace after death. Therefore, this place, which was originally sacred, has become like this because it was taken over by the demon king leading the demon army. Disrupting the peace of the followers after death is a denial of the authority of the deities. The more the authority of the deities is denied, the more the power of the demons increases. Thus, the underground tomb of Braden has lost its sanctity and has become the kingdom of Andes. As the two are strolling, suddenly a bone monster charges out to attack Lilith. Startled, Lilith swings her hand and shatters the monster into pieces. Indeed, it is a creep monster, very weak, but being an undead creature, it quickly recovers and scares Lilith quite a bit. But the consequence of being reckless is to face Sang-hyuk. A punch that shatters the face, just like the place where the direct use of undead dark power is at a different level. Especially the Pope, who has lost the protection of the divine after being turned into an undead with a level over 200, is one of the most powerful monsters. So why did Sang-hyuk come to this place? After going deeper, both encountered a dark corridor, surrounded by long rows of gigantic skeletons. Sang-hyuk instructed Lilith to stay behind while he entered the room in front of him. In the center of the room is the strongest sword in the world, Eternity. Sang-hyuk carefully approached and pulled the sword out of its pedestal. He held the sword in his hand and smiled with satisfaction. With this sword, even if the opponent is a demon lord, they would be decapitated and stabbed through the heart. As soon as Sang-hyuk pulled the sword out, a blinding light suddenly illuminated the entire room. An army of skeletons appeared from nowhere surrounding Sang-hyuk. Their commander is Andres the Pope. Sang-hyuk was not at all hesitant and immediately entered a combat state. He decided to test the power of the sword in his hand, but suddenly the monsters exploded into pieces. Out of nowhere appeared a man wearing a hood and a skull mask. Unexpectedly meeting here, right? Disguised as the monster being attacked, he immediately attracted their hatred. They frantically rushed to attack the mysterious man. But it seems that this man is not simple at all. He could easily dodge every attack. He glanced at the pile of bones on the ground and used a magic staff to draw a magic circle. After reciting a long incantation, a monster named Heo von Howl was summoned. The man immediately ordered the dog to charge and attack the skeletal monsters. The monsters couldn't even touch a single bone of the dog. One by one they were eliminated. Sang-hyuk watched this scene with clear astonishment in his eyes. He never expected that just a dog could eliminate the skeletons in an instant. But facing Pope Andres it was nothing. With just one hit the monster was instantly defeated. Pope Andres then shot a blast from his mouth towards the mysterious man. Although this attack did not cause much damage, it bought enough time for him to close in on the man, but the man was lucky enough to dodge this move. He quickly chanted a spell to summon a pack of dogs to counterattack Pope Andres. Although outnumbered, they had no intention of retreating. With a swipe of his hand he could eliminate the entire pack of dogs and then turn to attack the man. But the attack was blocked by Sang-hyo using a skill without sustaining any injuries. It seems Sang-hyo knows this man well and understands him very clearly. Sang-hyuk held the sword in his hand and lightly struck the ground, instantly splitting the monster Pope Andres in half. Indeed, with absolute power there's nothing to fear. After finishing up, Sang-hyuk turned around to look at the man. The first time we met was when the 400 Death Squad set out for the first time right. Ambassador Jang Soo-chan wondered if Sang-hyuk was heading towards the War Canyon. The reason he came here alone is because there are many remains of supreme-level dead people here. For him this is even more precious than an S-level item. Sang-hyuk did not waste time and immediately invited Jang Soo-chan to join his masked army. Join the masked army. I heard you want to surpass Ahmed Hassan, and I will help. Jang Soo-chan thought for a long time and then asked, the masked army is already strong enough, why do you want to recruit me? Jang-hyuk coldly turned away and said a single sentence, this time we must catch that brat Demon King. It turns out Sang-hyuk is still bitter about being played by the Demon King, so he is determined to take revenge. At this moment Jae had just landed in South Korea. The purpose of her trip this time was to meet the masked man who had just left the airport. She went straight to the cafe to meet Sang-min. Not seeing the appearance of masked man Jae, she felt a bit disappointed because Sang-min didn't know much English, so they both decided to communicate in Joselia. Since many people from all over the world were brought to the eternal world, a common language was necessary for everyone to communicate and live, and Joselia is that common language. With the language issue resolved, Jae introduced herself. My name is Jae, the leader of the Dark Squad. Congratulations to the masked army for successfully defeating the War Canyon. Right after that, Jae wondered why the masked man came directly here to conduct the transaction. Sang-min awkwardly had to make up an excuse that the masked man was busy, so he came instead. Jae recognized it at a glance, so she didn't press further and proceeded with the transaction. After checking the goods, Jae was very satisfied and found no issues. Indeed, we are selling the Lord Monarch, so there's no need to worry. Before the other party left, Sang-min suddenly spoke up. The Lord Monarch said he has something to ask. Jae hadn't heard the whole sentence when she replied, as the Lord Monarch said, I have sent out all the invitations. They have no other choice but to come here as it is the Lord Monarch's invitation. At this moment, the airport was in chaos because of the visit from the head of the Absolute Sun Knights, Richard Paulson. But not only from America, the strongest players representing countries around the world had also visited South Korea. The Hammer Church of God, Michael Burton from England, the Gujion Lucheoyu Society from China, the Emperor Ian Galef Society from Russia, the Hasegawa Ryota Kendo Society from Japan, and the Dragon Slayer Manuel Mateus Society from Germany. The media immediately reported on this issue. This morning, the representative leaders from various countries entered South Korea. The sudden visit to South Korea raised many questions about the reason why. Surprisingly, they all entered the disguised city. It must be noted that this is the first time these individuals have met in person in the real world, from which we can see the power of the Top 1 Disguise server is immense. Inside Disguise, the atmosphere is extremely tense. Treogu couldn't help but exclaim, "What's going on now?" I never expected to find them in the same place. After the battle of the 400 sacrificial team, it seems this is the first time a naturally talented person in attracting controversy has appeared. Anyway, it's amazing. Disguise person, having waited too long, angrily slammed the table. How much longer do we have to wait? If we have to keep waiting, I'll have to get up. The others are already too used to this. Everyone understands each other. Disguise person still thinks of us as tools. That person on the other side has also used us as tools. But even Galaxy F thinks otherwise. Let's see, I don't think that way. I believe I contributed to the attack on that final mission. Without us could Disguise person have completed it. But the reason everyone gathered here is that Disguise person received the final reward from the Mask Army's equipment alone. They guessed that the reward was to bring back items from that world and they wanted their share. These enemies are so cunning they fell first to allow one person to carry the team and now they demand a reward. Just when the atmosphere was tense, Disguise Person walked in. Why is the atmosphere like this? On a day like today, everyone should be cheerful and interesting. Can you imagine us gathering like this? Disguise Person was still wearing a mask and did not reveal their true identity. Michael Buren was dissatisfied, but since he couldn't fight back, he could only mutter like a coward. After being asked about the reason for this meeting, Disguise Person spoke up. Then let's not waste time, I'll get right to the point. As he spoke, he reached into his bag and pulled out a piece of equipment called Warhammer. Everyone, although they had guessed beforehand, were left speechless in shock, especially Michael Brand, as this was his equipment. Michael Buren couldn't contain his anger and charged forward, ready to take a risk. Seeing this, Disguise Person raised a hand to stop him, calmly saying, "Come on, I invited everyone here to find the owner of these items. Let's get started. Let's auction the weapon." While everyone was still trying to recover from this shocking statement, Richard Paulson spoke up. "That hammer, I will buy it." Michael Brand shouted angrily, "If you don't want to die, then sit still." Richard Paulson did not get angry, but calmly replied, "Didn't you hear what Disguise King said? He said this is an auction event. Doesn't that mean I can participate too?" At this moment, the auctioneer interrupted, saying, "Come on everyone, please be quiet. The starting price is $10,000, and the increment for each bid is $10,000. Now we will begin the auction." In the private office of Jamyan, Renjay questioned, "Aren't you being a bit too petty, Sang-hyuk?" At this moment, Sang-hyuk still appeared innocent with no guilt at all. Seeing this, Jay continued, "So this is what you're trying to achieve. Do you want to dominate them or do you just want the money?" But the answer turned out to be bait. Sang-hyuk's face showed a dangerous look as he said, "Now I've cast the bait, they just need to bite." Jay still did not understand the meaning of this statement. Meanwhile, the auction was lively with prices continuously being pushed higher. While everyone was gradually raising their bids, Manuel Mateos directly pushed the price up to $200,000 bison. Truly a wealthy person, everything he says is right. Since it was his weapon, Michael Buren could only grit his teeth and raise the bid to $210,000. Finally, no one raised the bid anymore and he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The next auction item was Richard Paulson's weapon. The blessing of the sun unexpectedly brought the apple so early. Michael Buren smirked and directly bid $200,000. Richard Paulson could only hold his head in despair and grit his teeth to bid higher, planning to buy it back after the auction. He walked around Jia Miancheng to forget the earlier sadness, but suddenly a voice rang out from behind. "Aren't we supposed to have something to discuss?" Richard Paulson turned around and saw Michael Buren with one arm behind his back, looking quite angry. Richard Paulson clenched his fists and said, "I don't know, I don't remember asking you to make me lose over $200,000. Michael Buren didn't care at all and drew a knife, then charged at him. "Now that doesn't matter. You made me bleed." But Richard Paulson was not an easy target. He had prepared an iron glove in case this situation occurred. Although the attack was blocked, Michael Buren still recklessly charged. "How long do you think you can keep boasting like this? Today is the last day of your life." But being loud only leads to an early end. Richard Paulson just needed one punch to knock Michael Buren away. In that world, even if my subordinate is reality, it won't change. Michael Buren, embarrassed and angry, activated his skill and attacked both. Unable to hold back any longer, they both pulled out their weapons worth over $200,000 for a solo fight. This was the battle of epic proportions between two top servers. Both roared loudly and charged at each other, but somehow they hit each other without feeling anything at all. Both turned to use verbal attacks. "Damn it, do you look down on me?" After some trash talk, both of them rushed to fight each other, but somehow after a while neither had a scratch. Could it be that they were using fake stuff? Both checked their newly bought weapons and they were in unusable condition. But everything was part of Sang-hyuk's plan. He was standing to one side watching his bait being taken, wearing a victorious smile. Right after Richard Paulson went to find the masked man to question, "Did you know from the beginning, and why didn't you tell me that I couldn't use the sun's blessing?" Everything was part of the masked man's plan, so he calmly replied, "I never told you to buy the sun's blessing. Why are you asking me? You should have checked before buying it, whether you had enough stats to use it." Richard Paulson was left speechless and couldn't argue back. In the end, he chose to compromise. "All right, what do you want? What can I do to get what I want?" This was the response that Jia Dienyan had been waiting for, so he replied, "Instead of wanting, I need you to help me with something. I've heard that the US is facing difficulties because the registrations are increasingly being deemed unbreakable. I'll take care of that. Richard Paulson was stunned by these crazy words, shouting, "What? Wait, that's not something you can handle. I don't know how it is in South Korea, but maintaining US registrations is extremely strict." Jia Dienyan, hearing this, crossed his arms and confidently said, "That's why I told you to talk to them. If you need my presence, this request is truly insane." Richard Paulson thought for a long time before gritting his teeth and accepting. After leaving the room, he encountered others who were waiting. "The hunting ground and the people on your side are the same, right? It seems everyone has fallen into the trap set by Jia Dienyan." At this point, Michael Buren couldn't help but angrily smash things and curse, "That bastard dared to mess with me? Michael Buren will kill you. Either you die or I die." Witnessing this fool losing his mind, Richard Paulson assessed, "I don't know if he's stupid or just naive. Hey, if you have a brain, use it to think. Do you think you can touch a hair on him with that flimsy weapon?" Michael Buren was stunned right on the spot after hearing this. Jia Dienyan's strength was absolute, no one could stand against him. Richard Paulson continued, "Everyone think carefully about whether to follow what he says." Everyone fell into deep thought before making a tough decision. At Desagangwando, Ambassador Andes Jiang Suchan was hunting alone. The bone monsters he summoned could easily wipe out the monsters here due to their overwhelming numbers. Jiang Suchan just needed to sit still and enjoy the final results. Just then, Yamian Ren slowly walked over. As expected, he could conquer Barak's rugged path all by himself. Jiang Suchan was a bit surprised but quickly calmed down and replied, "At least I have to do this much to make a living, right? But why are you asking for such a reckless thing?" Yamian Ren was still pretending to be clueless and suddenly said, "What is it? What request?" Jiang Suchan continued, "Why make such a request to the bidders from yesterday? I thought about it, but this is not an eternal world. If a person dies, they really die. Shouldn't players be stronger to minimize casualties?" Faced with this question, Jia Mian-ren thought for a while and then answered, "I have a lot of items in my space pocket, but how many people should I give them to? More than 120,000 people have been pulled into the eternal world. I can't equip them all. Even if they're not items, I can help them, but where do we set the standards? In the end, players have to become stronger on their own." Jiang Suchan understood Jamian Ren's point, but that wasn't the answer he wanted. Sang Hyuk suddenly remembered the painful memories of the past, the day he lost his brother, teammates, and friends, all leaving Sang Hyuk alone on a lonely and difficult journey. It was only when facing the Demon King that he truly understood what extreme despair was like. After thinking for a long time, Sang Hyuk provided his answer. "Why would I make such a reckless request? Because I don't want to lose this time." This answer was somewhat vague. Jiang Suchan couldn't fully understand at that moment. That very night, the news was filled with reports about the players and the zombie controllers. Jiang Suchan was clearing the rugged path of Barik alone. The masked army had conquered the collapsed sanctuary and the wasteland of Polo. Yamenren had swept through 3 dungeons considered unconquerable. South Korea had developed into a powerful nation of players with just the return of one person seemingly shaking the whole world. At GVK Group, an important meeting was taking place. The chairman slammed the table and shouted, "Haven't we been able to contact Jamian Ren yet? Don't you all know the world is watching South Korea? Tell him to come and shoot the advertisement right now. We will pay whatever amount at this moment." Sang Hyuk, regardless of the world gossiping about him, was enjoying the beautiful sunset on the beach. Suddenly, Sang Hyuk received a call, feeling what it was like to be a star famous around the world. As always, Sang Hyuk didn't appreciate this empty joke and intended to hang up immediately. Seeing this, he hurriedly announced, "I just received a call from America. Congratulations, Monarch, everything is on track." In America, an attack by monsters with thermonuclear weapons was taking place. Countless advanced military equipment is being used on all 3 fronts. After a long-range missile attack, the infantry and tanks entered the battlefield. However, humans have underestimated the monsters. The number of missiles just now was completely insufficient to destroy them. The monsters took advantage of the thick fog and frantically attacked. In the end, only one soldier remained, struggling in panic. The US government's attack failed miserably at McCarran International Airport. The masked man has come to resolve this issue. His host is Richard Paulson. In the end, he did as he pleased. "Anyway, should I thank you for taking care of this?" It seems he is still bitter about the previous auction, but both put aside their differences and shook hands amicably, sharing a warm glance. After that, both got in the car heading towards the target. On the way, Richard Paulson briefly talked about the current situation. As you know, the situation has been unstable for quite some time now. To attack this place, my UpGod Association and 5 other associations that have tried their luck on the ranking have all failed. Not only that, not long ago, the government also attempted a full-scale attack, but ended in failure. This time, fortunately, it has been approved by the government. Sang Hyuk listened and felt no worry at all. To him, these monsters are just like mosquitoes. Accompanying Sang Hyuk this time are Jiang Suchan and Lilith. Seeing this, Richard Paulson asked back, "There are really 3 people including you, right?" Sang Hyuk explained the masked army has a lot of work to do in Korea and also needs to attack other factions. After hearing this, Richard Paulson immediately lost his composure. "It seems you are confused about something, right? Because of that faction, over 100 people died. It is not as simple as you think." Jang Soo-chan, although not understanding anything, also spoke up. "Hey, look here. I don't know what you two are saying in English, but don't worry, it won't fail. Truly worthy of being a messenger, Andres has a strong aura of death emanating from him." Richard Paulson had no choice but to choose to trust him. At the faction site, it was now crowded with reporters. The appearance of the masked man on this land is incredibly hot and cannot be missed. However, Sang Hyuk was not concerned and went straight towards the faction. Looking down from above, this place is covered by a thick fog. Once you enter, you will completely lose your sense of direction and your senses. This is the Great Maze. Unlike its simple name, in reality, this is a place that receives a verdict of being untouchable in the eternal world. Even the masked man before could not attack this place. The reason is that not only does the structure inside the Great Maze change frequently, but even the monsters do as well. Fortunately, Sang Hyuk managed to catch the final boss, but still couldn't attack the whole area. However, there's nothing to worry about. Sang Hyuk is on a completely different level compared to back then. After a while of waiting, the US government granted permission for 3 people to enter. On the other side, Vice President of the Digital Society Lou Harry Burnland came to meet Richard Paulson to inquire. Is it really just 3 people entering? Even if it's a disguised human, it shouldn't be possible. Until now, many guilds and armies have failed to find the entrance to the Great Maze, but how can just 3 people succeed? Richard Paulson was stunned for a moment and said, "I don't know either, they might fail." However, that is the man who handled the eternal world after entering the Great Maze. The 3 of them, Sang Hyuk, stood close together in a line. Experiencing this feeling for the first time made Jang Soo-chan exclaim, "Wow, really can't see anything, huh? Can't see above, so I don't know if we're going in the right direction." Seeing this, Sang Hyuk quickly warned, "You'd better stay alert because most people come here, forget the way, and get eaten by monsters." After walking for a while, Lilith started to whine for ice cream. Sang Hyuk had to coax her for a long time. Jang Soo-chan then asked, "Brother, but why did you bring this girl here? It's obvious she's not human." The reason Sang Hyuk did this was because he had something to confirm. Here he reassured Jang Soo-chan not to worry and continued on the journey. After a long time walking, Jang Soo-chan spoke up. "Anyway, we've been on the road for 2 hours now and we haven't seen anything other than fog. Is it still far, brother? How much longer do we have to go?" But after waiting for a while, there was still no response. When he turned his head to look around, there was no one left. Jang Soo-chan panicked, groping around, shouting to search for his teammates. After a while of searching, he discovered Sang Hyuk sitting in front of him covered in wounds. "Can't believe there is something that can injure Sang Hyuk so badly." Jang Soo-chan hurriedly approached. "Brother, what happened? Who attacked?" But no matter how he called, the other party did not respond. Suddenly Sang Hyuk's eyes shone yellow and he realized at a glance that they were not human. A tail suddenly sprouted from behind and attacked Jang Soo-chan. Jang Soo-chan was so shocked that he couldn't react, standing frozen in place. Fortunately, Sang Hyuk and Lily arrived in time to eliminate the disguised monster, saving Jang Soo-chan's life. Sang Hyuk once again warned, "I told you stay alert right now." Here, true to its name of a maze, I also don't know what is happening. After that, all 3 continued to set off forward. After a while of searching, the 3 of them arrived at a lamppost illuminated by a mysterious green flame. Sang Hyuk is explaining that it's very hard to find the entrance here. "When I was in the eternal world, it took about 2 or 3 weeks to find the entrance. I got a hint from the nearby NPC village, so I figured it out." Sang Hyuk moved toward the pile of torches in front and picked one up, lighting it with a blue flame and handing it to Jang Soo-chan. "Take this. If you walk forward, you will see many lamps. You must light the 3rd, 4th, and 7th lamps, then the entrance will appear." Jang Soo-chan didn't quite understand and asked, "But you could do it directly, why give it to me?" Sang Hyuk said seriously, "Because I have something to do, no matter what happens, just light it." Jang Soo-chan, although still having many questions, decided to follow the instructions. After a while of moving forward, the lamps appeared one by one. Following the instructions, Jang Soo-chan skipped the 1st and 2nd, lighting the 3rd lamp. As soon as the flame was lit, a terrifying sound suddenly echoed. Jang Soo-chan was startled, turning around to look for the source, but saw nothing. At this moment, he remembered Sang Hyuk's earlier instructions and quickly went to light the lamp. Although he felt that something was off around him, Jang Soo-chan tried to reassure himself and focused on the immediate goal. Finally, he successfully found and lit the 7th lamp. The fog immediately cleared, revealing a huge golden pyramid. The top of the pyramid held a mysterious crystal. This was truly the great maze that all three had to face. Just then Sang-hyuk's voice came from behind. Why did it take so long? Jang Soo-chan turned around to see a horrifying sight, Sang-hyuk and Lilith standing on a mountain of monster corpses. The number was truly unimaginable. Jang Soo-chan approached stammering, "What is this? Since when have these monsters been lying here?" Sang-hyuk replied, "So you think I'm joking? Anyway, you better get ready quickly because there are still many more." As soon as he finished speaking, countless monsters of various types rushed into attack. While Jang Soo-chan was still in shock, Sang-hyuk charged in and cleared them all. After eliminating all the blocking monsters, the three entered the pyramid. The entrance was actually a long spiral staircase leading straight down underground. I wonder if we will meet that villa house or Jack 60 Garlic at the end. On the way, Sang-hyuk warned to be careful because there are many traps. Anyway, even I find it hard to predict all the traps in this place. Not knowing where the traps would appear, it was very tense. But how is it that right after mentioning it, Jang Soo-chan stepped into a trap? What a teammate. 5 poisoned arrows suddenly shot toward Jang Soo-chan. Fortunately, he reacted in time, so it's all good. Throughout the next journey, Jang Soo-chan continuously fell into trap after trap. It's truly beyond words. Although he avoided all the traps, Jang Soo-chan was still scared out of his mind. He had to summon his army of skeletons to take the hit for him. After a while of moving, the three came across 2 stone doors in front of them. At this point, Sang-hyuk explained, "This is the easiest stone maze room in the Grand Maze. The method of attack is very simple. Choose one of these 2 entrances and proceed with the challenge. You have 30 attempts within 30 seconds. If you find the exit, you will have to start over." Upon hearing this, Jang Soo-chan thought it was simple, so he immediately opened the door in front of him. But it turned out Sang-hyuk hadn't finished his sentence. If you choose the wrong door, the trouble is that you will have to face the monsters. And guess what? His teammate reported that Jang Soo-chan made the wrong choice. Blood-red monsters were waiting. Jang Soo-chan smiled foolishly and pulled out his weapon, preparing to fight. What's there to face against these? Even if they are strong, only people like us can handle it. But before he could act cool, Lilith rushed ahead, flying around to attract the monster's attention, but not attacking at all. Jang Soo-chan was confused, not understanding what was going on. At this moment, Sang-hyuk approached and reminded him, "From now on, it's best to hold your breath if you don't want others to see your ugly appearance." On the other side, Lilith was flying and scattering enchanting powder, and soon the entire room was covered with it. The monsters inhaled it and fell one by one like ripe fruit. Jang Soo-chan now understood everything. Indeed, that horn was not just an accessory. "Hey, that child is a great demon, isn't she? How did you bring the great demon along? The talent is good too." Sang-hyuk did not answer but pondered deeply. "The reason I brought Lilith here is that I want to test 2 things. First, does that girl's ability have an effect on the monsters? And second, if that ability works, can Lilith grow by consuming the blood of the defeated monsters?" After just a few short minutes, all the monsters had been eliminated, not a single one left. Through this, the first thing Sang-hyuk wanted to test has been proven, while the second will need to be monitored a bit longer. After passing through this room, the 3 continued on, only to be greeted by an attack from countless other monsters. Jang Soo-chan summoned his army of skeletons to attack, while Sang-hyuk and Lilith just stood by and observed. Up to this point, the attack on the Grand Maze had gone smoothly. Initially with Lilith's power. In the middle, it was through the active efforts of the skeleton army. Monsters everywhere in the Grand Maze had been cleared. Finally, the 3 reached the boss room, which looked like an ancient altar. There is a long staircase leading up. Above it is an inverted pyramid in the center. There is a mysterious crystal floating in the air. Just breaking that crystal will cause the red-eyed boss of the Great Maze, Sariki, to appear. This time, if done well, victory is possible. But if unlucky, defeat is certain, because this boss is a red boss, so it is not a monster that can be defeated alone. Jang Soo-chan wondered if Sang-hyuk had not defeated this boss alone before. Sang-hyuk said that was just luck. After hearing this, Jang Soo-chan immediately took out his weapon ready to fight. But Sang-hyuk told him not to step in and that he would face the boss alone. Jang Soo-chan had something more important to do, which was to hold up his phone to livestream the fight to the whole world so everyone could witness the battle between the avatar and the boss of the Great Maze in the boss room. Sang-hyuk slowly walked up the stairs, approached the crystal, and then without hesitation punched it to break. The boss immediately appeared behind a cloud of dust. "Who disturbs my sleep? The price for that is only death." The boss's figure was gigantic, clad in armor, and just looking at it was already dangerous. But for Sang-hyuk, this was still nothing. He took out a teleportation scroll from his bag, and after activating it, the 3 of them and the boss were immediately transported to a nearby desert. The reason for this was that live streaming on the platform was not possible. Everything was according to Sang-hyuk's plan. The boss, being unwittingly taken away, was extremely angry. It shot laser beams from its eyes like Superman, but unfortunately the attack speed was too slow. Sang-hyuk just needed to jump to avoid the attack. Sang-hyuk had memorized all of the boss's attacks. After dodging the first attack, Sang-hyuk closed the distance and suddenly attacked from behind. But the shields surrounding Sakiri's body were very solid, difficult to break with ordinary attacks. It could block 10 attacks from the best players. Of course Sang-hyuk knew that, but each of his attacks was stronger than any other player. Just a few slashes and the boss's shield was completely shattered. And if the shield was broken, the boss would enter its second state. The boss would transform into a centaur form, abandoning its defense and focusing entirely on attack. According to Sang-hyuk's memory, this form of the boss had 3 types of attacks. The first was a foot stomp attack. It would stomp its 2 front legs down hard, creating shock waves to attack the opponent. Be very careful with this move as it has a very strong stun effect. If the first type of attack is ineffective, the boss will use the second type, a wide area attack. It will rush forward quickly while swinging the sword vigorously. The sharp sword will cut everything around into pieces. The third type definitely needs to be avoided. The boss will use the horns on its helmet to attack forward. If you can dodge the third type, the boss will be stunned for 3 seconds. At this point, a single full-force attack can defeat the boss. Sang-hyuk calmly guided viewers on how to fight the boss while practicing right on the spot. It seems simple, but surely he's the only one in the world who can do it. After defeating the boss, the item received is Sariki's sword. At this point, the raid is gradually finishing easily. The live stream viewers are all in awe, including Richard Paulson. He realized the purpose of the Illusion Human Labyrinth, which is a place where even if you enter again through the entrance, the dungeon will reset. In short, Sariki does not die and will face the players again. Thanks to Sang-hyuk's video, there will be fewer casualties when players challenge this. Just then Richard Paulson received a call. The fish people have appeared. It seems the manifestation of the underwater kingdom in East has begun. Seeing the chairman's reaction seems off, Harry Burnland immediately asked about the situation. Richard Paulson replied that if the underwater kingdom, the underground kingdom, Ray H, and the Sky Island Rahim began to manifest, what would happen? Surely the illusion human alone cannot face all of this, meaning all players need to grow stronger. The names mentioned are all forbidden areas for players in the eternal world. If not careful, humanity will face extinction. After defeating monsters, Sang-hyuk returned home to rest. He sat dumbfounded looking at a half-human, half-monster picture on his phone. Sang-min walked by and wondered, "What is that? What is this picture? It's the first time I've seen a monster like this." After hearing this, Sang-hyuk explained, "In the other world, monsters and humans are hybridized to create a new creature. There was a guy very similar to a psychopathic person obsessed with this experiment. The picture in Sang-hyuk's hand is one of the monsters created, and the madman who created it is named Ega Gonzalez. In the past, in the eternal world, the NPCs of an entire village were turned into a bunch of bizarre monsters. An immediate meeting among high-level players was held due to this issue. We must catch that Ega immediately. There have been many villages attacked this month alone. Even if they are NPCs of the village, we don't know how it will hinder the quest if this continues. Even players are being used as test subjects. This is really a serious problem. Even with a bounty, we need to quickly catch this psycho." The masked man immediately made a deal with Jay and found out where these disgusting experiments were being conducted. The madman Ega Gonzalez was captured by the masked man and was beaten to near death. Before dying, he still boasted, "I thought I had escaped perfectly, but it turns out to be the masked man. But it's a bit of a pity, masked man. I want to use you as experimental material." Sang-hyuk couldn't take it anymore and drew his sword to send him off to meet his maker. But he did not expect that he had returned to the real world and continued to conduct such disgusting experiments. The next day, Sang-hyuk went to meet Jay, who had sent him a picture of the monster. They skipped the greetings and went straight to the point. Sang-hyuk asked Jay about the location of Ega Gonzalez, but Jay was still in the process of searching. She saw the first artificial species in Japan, so that madman might be there. After hearing this, Sang-hyuk thought for a while and asked Jay if he could talk on the phone with Hasegawa Ryota. For Jay, this was just a piece of cake. In Japan, Hasegawa Ryota answered the phone immediately after receiving a call from the Dark Society. On the other end of the line was the masked man. "Ega Gonzalez, you know him, right? That guy seems to be in Japan now, do you know?" Hasegawa Ryota replied that he did not know anything at all. Sang-hyuk also anticipated this. He called just to inform that he was about to arrive. After arriving in Japan, Sang-hyuk went to Tokyo Ginza. Here he met a woman named Kurihara. Judging by the tattoos all over her body, she seemed not to be simple. In Japan, the more tattoos one has, the more influential they are in the Yakuza world. But these tattoos were not ordinary. In the eternal world, there are many tattoo artists, and they have the ability to create special powers for the tattoos. This girl's tattoo also held such special powers. While ordinary tattoo artists use magical ink, Kurihara Ian draws tattoos with the blood of monsters. Upon meeting Sang-hyuk Kurihara, Ian immediately asked, "What brings the one who attracts the world's attention here?" Sang-hyuk immediately invited this girl to join his group, but Kurihara Ian only smiled and said that it was her honor. Sang-hyuk knew that things would not be that simple. He said he would meet all her conditions. Kurihara Ian was somewhat moved. "An attractive condition, isn't it? Just when I need a lot of materials? But I am Japanese. If I serve under you, people's views will not be good." Sang-hyuk asked if she was refusing, but it turned out that putting her country aside required a slightly more attractive offer. Seeing this, Sang-hyuk offered something extremely enticing: the blood of Demon King Ban. Kurihara Ian immediately accepted to join the association, indeed flipping sides faster than turning pages. On another side, Ega Gonzalez hybrid monsters suddenly appeared on the streets of Japan. They crazily attacked all the humans around. Fortunately, Hasegawa Ryota was there right away. He drew his sword ready to attack. Sensing the threat, the hybrid monsters focused their attacks toward Hasegawa Ryota. But the top player in Japan is not that weak. He easily dodged the attack and sliced the monster into 1,000 pieces. At that moment, Ega Gonzalez was watching the battle from one side. He wore a sinister smile, signaling that something unpleasant was about to happen. The next day at Hasegawa Ryota's residence, the masked man came and met directly to talk about Ega Gonzalez. Hasegawa Ryota poured tea, but it seemed the masked man was not interested at all. He got straight to the point. "Have you investigated the matter concerning the hybrid?" Mentioning this issue, Hasegawa Ryota appeared quite cautious. He took a sip of tea to calm himself before replying, "We are still trying to track him down, so we haven't found any leads." But before he could finish, he was choked by the oppressive aura emanating from the masked man. "This is happening in your country and you still haven't found him? Is sword fighting all you can do?" Hasegawa Ryota replied, "Sorry to disappoint you. We are not supported by the Dark Association like someone else." The masked man laughed loudly. "Haha, is that so? Then that's not good. I'll lend you a hand. The monsters in the maze have negative mana levels, especially depending on the species. But sometimes that mana can become saturated and explode. That's what we call a surge." Hasegawa Ryota suddenly jolted at those words. "Why are you telling me this?" The masked man continued with a dangerous expression. "I learned that another unconquerable dungeon has appeared where the King of Japan resides, the playground of the heart. I give you 3 days to find the hybrid and bring him to me within that time. As for the consequences if you fail, you can imagine." Hasegawa Ryota knew well that this was not a joke. He would have to do everything possible to find the hybrid within these 3 days. That night at a luxury hotel, an award ceremony was taking place for a prominent parliamentary member. This party was to celebrate a fat man becoming a senior parliamentary member. The attendees at the party continuously flattered this fat man. Just then the bodyguard announced it was time for his next schedule. The fat man, along with the 2 bodyguards, proceeded to the parking garage to prepare to leave. The fat man and his 2 bodyguards approached the parking garage to prepare to leave. At this moment, a man walked up to the fat man, none other than Hasegawa Ryota. Inside the car, he warned the fat man, "The fake persona has arrived in Japan. It's best that you abandon your hybrid experiment or this will cause a tidal wave." But the fat man was not interested and interrupted. "You seem quite worried about the fake persona. You say he will cause a tidal wave? He's not a deity. There's no need to go that far." Hasegawa Ryota thought for a moment and then said, "If you can't get rid of him, let me handle it." The fat man crossed his arms calmly. "Have you forgotten the reason we are meeting? Recently Japan has been underdeveloped. We can't accept a new power right now, can we? The whole world is paying attention to any outstanding swords, so we can't just sit back and say it's all for public safety." Although the reason seemed quite noble, Hasegawa Ryota still couldn't accept the inhumane method of hybridization. Seeing Hasegawa Ryota tense up, the fat man continued, "Didn't you say you wanted to defeat the false face man? That person said he would take care of the false face man himself. Don't worry. If I obtain a higher position, I will ensure a bright future for you. You just need to do your job." Hasegawa Ryota hesitated for a moment, but ultimately let his interests blind him. Soon he would regret his decision. He was recalling the fat man's words from a few days ago. "Wouldn't it be better if the surge actually happened? We could blame it all on the false face king, but I won't know what will happen. So I must ensure that you protect right next to the king. As for the people, let them be. The more who die, the harsher the punishment for the false face man." Hasegawa Ryota was tense when he suddenly received a call from an unknown number. He hesitated for a moment and then decided not to answer. Unknowingly, he looked towards the dungeon in front of him. At that moment the ground shook. The surge had truly erupted. Countless monsters rushed out, tearing at the surrounding people. In their wake, no one could survive. On the other side, Kurihara Azan, witnessing this, asked, "False face, King, are you okay doing this? It seems like it's going to be noisy for a while." Sang-hyuk coldly replied, "I warned them, but they themselves chose to ignore it. So reap what you sow." What is an explosion called? The answer is very simple. It is something that happens when the monster's total energy becomes overloaded. That's why monsters must be checked regularly. If you understand this basic knowledge, you can easily create an explosion. For example, the tattoo artist's spell amplifies energy. If you inject it into Lilith's body, you can create a riot even without the monster's energy being overloaded. Right now the people are continuously fleeing from the monsters. No one was warned about this, so the casualties are enormous. Standing in the panicked crowd, Ryota calmly looks towards the swarm of monsters rushing in. For him, this riot poses no threat at all. Just then Senator Moriyasu Yasuhito calls, "A riot just broke out, just as you said. How's the situation over there?" He was calmly sipping his drink while watching the news on TV. Ryota reported that there were no issues except for the increasing number of civilians dying under the claws of the monsters. But Yasuhito suddenly interrupted. "I told you the more casualties there are over there, the more feasible our plan becomes. Just consider it a worthy sacrifice for our future." After hearing this, Ryota said nothing. He remained silent for a long time, observing the chaotic scene before him. Finally, witnessing the impending death of the civilians in front of him, Ryota couldn't hold back and took action. This act of defiance had effectively made him an enemy of the senator, but Ryota didn't care and ordered his subordinates to protect the civilians from the monsters. The subordinates received the order and charged forward en masse. The monsters were gradually suppressed, bit by bit. At this moment, a foolish monster ambushed Ryota alone, but with a single strike of his sword it was split in half. Suddenly Ryota's phone rang. The caller was the masked king. Seeing this, Ryota answered the phone while slashing at the monsters. "Do you have something to say to me?" Sang-hyuk immediately made a request. "I will give you one more chance. Tell me the location of the hybrid." Although Ryota could easily eliminate the monsters, there were too many of them. If this continued, the number of civilians selling salt would keep increasing. With no other choice, he was forced to compromise. "I will send it via message." Before hanging up, Sang-hyuk left a piece of advice. "Oh, one more thing. You'd better not associate with that person anymore." As the call ended, Ryota's teammate was stunned by the scene before him. "Ryota, the monsters! They're heading back to the dungeon." Each monster bore a strange red mark, seemingly being controlled by someone. At this moment, on top of a nearby high-rise building, Azan suddenly appeared out of thin air. This invisibility cloak is indeed a useful item. Sang-hyuk was also right beside him. "If you need it, just tell me, I have plenty." Truly worthy of being the highest level player, having so many game hacks. Witnessing what had just happened, Azan spoke up. "I think I finally understand why you recruited me. Using nightmares to lull the monsters into sleep, and taking advantage of the gap to tattoo them in order to control them. The goal is to make them look like a riot is occurring." Sang-hyuk replied, "I can create a riot if I want to, but how can I harm innocent people? You're strong, but you're not power crazy." Azan chuckled at this. "You truly have a noble sense of justice. By the way, is there really someone behind all this?" Sang-hyuk recalled the information he had received. There is someone who has teamed up with Ryota. If this goes wrong, it could become a national issue. Sang-hyuk has decided to let the people of this nation solve their own problems. That night in a secluded park, Ega Gonzalez was observing his creations when he suddenly became alert. "It's been a long time. It's nice to see you again, faceless man." He seemed unfazed by the appearance of Sang-hyuk and Azan. Sang-hyuk spoke up. "You've returned to the real world, but why are you still so sluggish?" "Do you think this is still a game?" Ega laughed loudly. "Haha, I can't do that. Look, do you know how wonderful the experimental subjects here are? I'm currently creating art." Sang-hyuk pointed his sword directly at him. "You're still the same crazy dog from before. Thanks to that, I will kill you without mercy." Though death was imminent, Ega showed no signs of fear. He calmly lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. "What a pity, I still want to create another piece of art. But don't be disappointed, I've left someone who can replace me." Without anyone noticing, when he had a gun in his hand pointed at his own head. Before Sang-hyuk could intervene to extract more information, Ega's brain was splattered everywhere. The next day life went on as if nothing had happened. The riot caused no casualties, so the faceless king was not mentioned in the news. But Senator Yasuhito was not so lucky. He was mysteriously murdered at his home. Reading this news in the paper, Ryota smiled with satisfaction. As for Sang-hyuk, after wrapping everything up, he set off to return to South Korea. Jay was waiting for him at the airport to talk. "It seems Yasuhito has passed away. They say he committed suicide, but I still doubt whether that's true." Sang-hyuk replied, "Perhaps that's his punishment for doing evil." Meanwhile, before Ega died, he uttered something strange. He said he had left someone who could replace him. Do you know what this means? Speaking about this, Sang Hyuk was extremely serious. After hearing this, Jae immediately said he didn't know and thought that statement was meaningless. Sang Hyuk didn't think so. He entrusted Jae to look into this matter, and there was no need to worry about payment. After accepting the job, Jae awkwardly asked back, "By the way, did you call me out here just for this?" When Sang Hyuk said someone wanted to meet, Jae appeared very confident. "This isn't difficult." "Who is it?" Sang Hyuk mentioned the name, the Mad Alchemist. Just hearing the name made it clear this character was not simple. In Hong Kong, in a small alley, a suspicious man is actively promoting a pill in his hand. This pill is made from the corpse of a monster. If you take it before fighting, your physical and mental stats will be optimized. There are no side effects. If you don't believe me, just try a piece. I guarantee you'll be surprised. Just then Sang Hyuk appears from behind. "Then I want to buy too. Can you sell it to me?" Upon seeing Sang Hyuk, the seller suddenly panics intensely. He pulls out a blue ball from his pocket and throws it hard to the ground. A cloud of smoke envelops the area, giving the seller a chance to escape. Sang Hyuk sees this but remains extremely calm. He is confident that no one can escape from his grasp. The seller is running away while complaining, "Who is that guy? Is he a cop? Where did he suddenly come from? He seems to be Korean." Just then Sang Hyuk whispers from behind, "That's right, I am Korean." The seller is so scared that he almost wets himself and increases his speed. Seeing this, Sang Hyuk chases after him. "Wait, calm down. Don't you know me?" The seller can no longer hear anything. Don't follow me. Go away, you crazy guy." He throws a beer crate by the roadside towards Sang Hyuk in an attempt to escape, but with Sang Hyuk's speed, dodging these things is extremely easy. But it turns out that was just a distraction. The seller's true intention was to throw out a suspicious potion. Seeing the explosion in front of him, the seller stands in shock. "I didn't mean to kill him." Just then Sang Hyuk speaks up from behind. "Don't worry, I'm not dead yet." The seller screams in fear. "What? What are you? How can you do that?" Since Sang Hyuk is not wearing a mask, he has no idea who he is. Seeing this, Sang Hyuk puts on a mask. "Do you recognize me now, the Mad Alchemist?" The seller is stunned. The masked man. Meanwhile, in another place in the ocean, a warship on patrol discovers a suspicious island. This place should have been an empty sea. The captain immediately orders an inspection. Just then his subordinate exclaims, "Captain, the island is moving." Back to the Mad Alchemist, he is recalling the painful days of the past. The masked man continuously brought him materials and demanded he create countless types of potions. This went on until he mastered alchemy to its fullest and earned the title of Mad Alchemist. That was also when he was exhausted, shriveled like a dry twig. On the flight, the Mad Alchemist Michael Trang keeps complaining, "In the other world, you drained my energy for 3 whole years. Do you know how tired I am?" Sang Hyuk innocently asked. "Isn't selling potions made from monster corpses tiring?" Infuriated, Michael shouted, "Aren't I doing this to make a living?" Because they were being noisy, the two were reminded by the flight attendant, and thus the peaceful flight to Korea went smoothly. At the airport, Michael warned, "Anyway, since we've come this far, if you don't treat me well, I'll go back. Just do what you know." Sang Hyuk replied, "Don't worry, I'll make sure you eat well and live much better than now." While the two were talking, Sang Min arrived to pick them up. First, Sang Hyuk introduced Sang Min, say hello. "This is the crazy alchemist I mentioned before, Michael Trang." Sang Min cheerfully greeted, "Hello, my name is Jun Sang Min, Sang Hyuk's younger brother. I've heard a lot about you. I heard that you can make 100 potions in a day." Mentioning this, Michael couldn't help but feel irritated. "Who is that because of?" After the introduction, Sang Min turned to ask his brother, "Have you seen the news yet?" "What, don't tell me you still don't know?" Sang Hyuk looked confused, not understanding what his brother was talking about. Just then the news from the distant TV echoed, "Currently there are many players gathering at this location. This island appears right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's said that it's an event whose exact appearance time in the game cannot be known. Players say it feels like the beginning of a festival." As soon as he saw the island on TV, Sang Hyuk unconsciously said a name, Mystery Island. Mystery Island appears once every 15 years or not? If it appears, the island will disappear exactly after 30 days. This place is called the Giant Island Dungeon. If you attack this event, you can earn points. With these points, you can buy legendary level items from the merchants residing on Mystery Island. This is one of the major events that players in the Eternal World cannot miss. Indeed, players from all over the world flocked to it after hearing the news. Before long, the island was filled with players exchanging with merchants. With the appearance of Mystery Island, many believe that magical cities or floating cities may also appear. High-level players are slowly making their own plans. And speaking of Mystery Island, the most anticipated thing is the battleground. By fighting against each wave of monsters within the specified time, you can earn corresponding points. Currently, the players are struggling in round 4 when time ran out, so they only received 340 points. 2 spectators commented, "Ha ha ha, have they only gone 4 rounds? Red toenails are nothing special." At this moment, the woman behind spoke up, "Hey, can you be quiet? I can't concentrate on the match." Upon seeing the 2 young men recognized this was Luo Xiaoji level 209 of the Gujian Guild. This level can be said to be among the top players in the world. Other spectators who noticed this began to murmur, "What's going on? It's Luo Xiaoji. She only came to watch the match, right?" Thinking back, isn't it true that Luo Xiaoji holds the record of 23 rounds? Just then everyone's attention turned to the person entering the arena, Richard Paulson. Everyone thought the record of 23 rounds would be broken today. Richard stood in the middle of the arena reflecting on his previous defeat right here. "I'm stronger than I was back then." Shortly after the match officially began, the monsters of the first round rushed towards Richard en masse. Without a second thought, they were all easily dealt with by Richard. Without allowing their players to rest, the second round began immediately after. Richard gazed at the monsters with an extremely determined look. He had heard that the Faceless Man had surpassed 29 rounds, so he was extremely eager to surpass that. After all, with level 240, it's hard for any player to surpass him. And thus the monsters became Richard's outlet for rage. Sitting amidst the noisy crowd, Luo Xiaoji carefully observed the match. Did he take that from the Faceless Man? The blessing of the sun. Before long, Richard successfully surpassed the 28th round. He tried to hold up his exhausted body and prepared to face the 29th round. The spectators present here were extremely excited, as the 29-round record of the Faceless Man was very likely to be broken today. Richard's opponent in this round was a knight fully clad in purple armor with a huge shield. Upon seeing it, many people felt it looked familiar. It seemed they had seen it somewhere before. Just then a man spoke, "The Holy Knight's armor of the Ideation sect. One of the top 13 Holy Knights of Rosalia, Adeleo, the Holy Sword wielder. The strongest here, and even the Faceless Man couldn't defeat him." Richard was now panting heavily. After going through each wave of relentless monsters, he could barely take it anymore. But having come this far, he couldn't stop now. Richard took out a potion and downed it in one gulp. Richard's strength recovered in an instant, and he was almost at his peak. While he was still high from the potion, Adeleo lunged in to attack. Although Richard used all his strength to block, he was still blown back quite a distance. Before he could regain his composure, Adeleo vanished into a cloud of dust. By the time Richard realized what was happening, Adeleo had launched a strike from behind. The audience witnessing this thought, it was all over, but they didn't expect Richard to barely block the attack. He unleashed all his power to counterattack fiercely, but all his strikes were blocked by Adeleo's shield. Richard then gradually fell into a disadvantage. He had to struggle hard to avoid one more fatal blow. With no other choice, Richard was forced to use the spell of courage. With this, Richard gained a temporary boost in stats. His eyes lit up as he looked at his opponent. The main issue is the shield that blocks all attacks. But there was no but anymore. After a devastating explosion, Richard was rendered helpless, and thus the 29th was declared a defeat. The audience was extremely astonished. What? What just happened? Is he unconscious? Could he not withstand the spell? No way, because he suddenly activated an excited state. What a pity he was so close to winning! As Richard was carried out on a stretcher, the next player entered the arena. Upon seeing this person, the entire audience went silent. Are you kidding? Kidding me. The next challenger is the Masked Man. Elsewhere, Azan was strolling when Sangmin approached to chat. Did you buy that? Azan greeted back, Twilight Knight, can you speak Japanese? Twilight Knight is the name Sang Hyuk used to conceal his brother's identity. Sangmin shyly said that he studied Japanese language so he could communicate well. When asked about the others, Sangmin replied, most of the masked mercenaries have gone to earn points. Jiang Suchan and Baek Dong are in the labyrinth maze. Michael Trang said he went to the casino. After all, the mysterious island is an opportunity for everyone. As long as there are points, there will be chances to obtain many rare items. Then the two of them walked around together. This, because the Masked Man has everything Azan needs, she just intends to have fun. So Sangmin invited her to the arena. When Azan wondered what was fun about it, Sangmin smiled and said, of course. Perhaps it is also the main event of the mysterious island. Azan, hearing this, made a confused face. In another place, Richard, after a long coma, woke up. Where am I? Did I faint afterward? It seems my body couldn't handle it. Just then a fairy spoke from behind. You are awake, Sir Richard Paulson. After conquering 28 rounds, you have received 240 points. You can use these points throughout the event to obtain items from the mysterious shop. I wish you a wonderful time. Richard had many questions but couldn't find a moment to interrupt. What the hell is this? He only read his part and just walked away. Suddenly, the cheers of the audience caught Richard's attention. When he ran out to the arena to see, he was astonished by the scene before him. Fake! Fake masked man. The voice of Adeleo then announced, round 29 completed. Begin the final round. As the announcement ended, a gigantic monster suddenly appeared. It frantically swung its hammer-shaped arms down to try to take down Sang-hyuk, but with its speed, Sang-hyuk easily dodged the attacks, and then approached the monster to deliver a hit. The monster, feeling enraged, unleashed the skill Godly Twirl. It spun its gigantic arms and then suddenly slammed them together, creating an extremely powerful shockwave. Sang-hyuk was hit by this blow, crashing into the arena wall, but this attack was not even enough to scratch him. Sang-hyuk immediately counterattacked. The monster was completely overwhelmed and could only defend passively. The dust and shockwaves from the fierce battle spread all the way to the distant audience stands. Richard observed this battle with wide eyes in amazement. This is the fake masked man. He is on a completely different level. Before long, Sang-hyuk had chopped off one of the monster's arms. Taking advantage of its loss of balance, he prepared to unleash the final blow, Dragon Blade. The monster was sliced into tiny pieces by the sharp blade without being able to resist at all. Ending with the monster's cries of despair, the final round of the arena had been conquered. The audience present here was extremely excited, continuously cheering. Richard was left speechless by this power. He couldn't believe how vast the distance was between him and the fake masked man. While Sang-hyuk was enjoying the cheers around him, he suddenly sensed that something was happening to his body. By the time he became aware, he had been taken to a room filled with weapons. Just then a voice echoed, "Very talented. A bow for the hero of the mysterious island. The awaited hero, you have the right to own everything. There is a gift for you, choose it, O hero. However, you can only choose one thing, just one." A mysterious old man suddenly appeared, saying all sorts of strange things. He conjured a book and let Sang-hyuk choose an item from it. Without hesitation, Sang-hyuk flipped through the pages of the book to examine it. Inside were legendary items that any player would dream of. After searching for a while, Sang-hyuk found what he wanted, a potion that breaks limits. He did not hesitate to choose this as his reward. The old man smiled eerily after hearing this and snapped his fingers. "I respect your decision." As the potion appeared before him, Sang-hyuk grabbed it and drank it in one gulp. Immediately after, he felt a surge of power exploding from within him. By the time he became aware, he was brought back to the arena from before. Sang-hyuk glanced around and found the notification window level 301. Finally, Sang-hyuk had surpassed the highest level. In some rural village, a man was diligently painting in a small house. Just as the painting was about to be completed, it suddenly cracked and exploded in a strange manner. The man picked up the fragments of the painting sadly. "Is this the limit?" Just then the phone rang. The man frowned upon seeing it was an international call. In Germany, in some factory, a girl who was welding suddenly stopped. It seemed she sensed danger approaching, so she immediately grabbed the gun from the drawer. She carefully searched and approached the man sneaking nearby. "You'd better not move. How did you get in here?" The man raised his hands to the sky and cursed, "Damn it, I've been caught." Little did he know that this man was the dusk blacksmith Lee Cheon-woo. In moments like this, he remembered the advertisement on TV and smiled confidently. "I was going to ring the doorbell, but I just wanted to surprise you instead." Seeing Cheon-woo's face, the girl lowered her gun, suggesting they were familiar with each other. "How surprising. I thought the faceless man had made this clear." The magic engineer Dina Cruiser also spoke up. "I understand what you're saying, but do we really have to invite this crazy guy?" Michael shouted angrily, "What a crazy guy! This rude little girl." Dina immediately drew her gun, her eyes shining brightly. "Keep talking if you want to die. I made this myself so I can shoot it here." Michael, seeing this, was scared out of his wits. He knew that Dina would actually pull the trigger and not just be bluffing. But he couldn't believe that Dina could bring a gun into such a tightly secured place as the Faceless City. But no one could have imagined that Dina could bring a gun into a heavily secured place like the fake Persona City. Cheon-woo then spoke up. "I understand you're happy to see each other, but you can greet each other later. The main thing is, if the Demon King actually appears, it seems like it will be difficult for the fake Persona to handle it alone. That's why I need everyone's help." The magical artist Andrei Ivanov also spoke up. "So that's why this female tattoo artist is here too." Cheon-woo then asked, "Tattoo artist? You mean Kurihara Azan? She is here, but do you have business with her?" Andrei explained, "We are all sorcerers. Our targets are objects and her targets are living beings. If we share knowledge and research together, I feel like we will discover even more things." After hearing this, Cheon-woo happily raised his cup. "Oh, that's a good idea. I'll contact her tomorrow. Just let me know if you need anything." Dina then wondered, "Before that, I want to know what the faceless man is planning." Cheon-woo thought for a moment and said with an amused expression, "Well, it's like a gun." The three of them looked confused, not understanding what the hell that meant. At the Aegean Sea south of Crete, everywhere was just ruins. In the middle of that chaos was a white door with yellow stains. Surrounding it were countless monster corpses lying around. All of this was caused by Sang-hyuk. This time he wasn't fighting alone but had the help of Lilith. During the battle, Lilith had absorbed a large amount of energy from the monsters, and she felt like she had grown taller and even bigger. Soon Lilith will become a mature lady. The eternal world is a place where both gods and demons coexist. Crete, which once held the marvelous Minoan civilization, has become the place of 7 demon temples and is now a place for fanatics to worship demons from other worlds. The inhabitants have now moved to Kalamata in Greece, where they must watch anxiously to find out the results of the battle between humans and demons. Sang-hyuk, after clearing everything outside, began to enter the shrine. He walked through a long and narrow corridor and approached a gigantic statue. It's been a long time, Asmodeus. This is the 32nd subordinate among the 72 subordinates of the demon king Asmodeus. While Sang-hyuk wasn't paying attention, Lilith had picked up something. Wow, it's really pretty. When asked what it was, Lilith immediately hid it. It's Lilith's. Lilith found it. Sang-hyuk then coaxed, "No need to worry, I won't take it. I just want to look at it for a moment and then I will return it to you." Lilith, although suspicious, decided to show it. Sang-hyuk held the necklace in his hand and examined it carefully. It was an object of Asmodeus. It was a bit pathetic for something like a sacred item, but it would become perfect and irreplaceable item for Lilith. After a thorough inspection, Sang-hyuk handed the necklace back to Lilith. This seemed like it was made just for Lilith, and there were many more things like this here. The two then moved straight ahead without hesitation. The deeper they went, the more monsters there were, but no matter how many there were to Sang-hyuk, they were just pests. Lilith followed along the entire way without needing to intervene, which made her feel bored. She curiously asked when new items would appear, but this was something Sang-hyuk couldn't predict either. There should have been one appearing by now. Moving a bit further, they entered a small corridor. On either side of the corridor were long rows of stone statues with different shapes. Just by looking, Sang-hyuk knew that this was the destination they needed to reach. He didn't continue to fly, but slowly walked inside. Before entering, he asked if Lilith wanted to wait for him here, but Lilith insisted on going with him. And so both of them slowly moved forward. It seems these are the statues of the 72 demon lords. They always look so strange. Just then a strange sound came from behind. A group of monsters resembling humans completely blocked the way out. Sang-hyuk was not surprised at all to see this. Their soul soldiers have turned into monsters. Without hesitation, Sang-hyuk drew his sword and attacked the monsters. Even though they were once human, now they were just monsters. Nothing more. While Sang-hyuk was busy fighting, Lilith showed great interest in this scene. The monsters showed no fear of death and charged forward one after another. Whenever one fell, another would fill the gap. Sang-hyuk showed no mercy and easily eliminated all the monsters. Now it's time to meet the master of this place, right? Sang-hyuk looked up at the stairs leading higher, where something awaited. That was High Priest Taluna. Just then the statues around them opened their eyes brightly and began to move. Seeing this, Sang-hyuk switched his weapon to a hammer. "So you finally awakened. Just keep sleeping." Before the statues could fully come to life, Sang-hyuk smashed them into pieces. Taluna then created black energy orbs and launched them at Sang-hyuk. As soon as the energy orb touched the ground, it exploded with immense power. A series of explosions occurred, enveloping the area in smoke and dust. Taluna calmly looked down, thinking that everything was resolved. Just then Sang-hyuk appeared from behind. "It's been a while, but it seems we're about to say goodbye again. See you again." Before Taluna could react, he was beheaded, and the head rolled down the stairs, exploding into dust. What remains is the sacred crown of Taluna Sar level, with an equipped effect that increases attraction by 100 points, and a special effect that greatly enhances the success rate of related spells. Truly something dropped from a boss, quite a special ability. Sang-hyuk, after examining it, handed it to Lilith. As soon as Lilith placed the crown on her head, strange phenomena appeared around her, and her mood suddenly improved a lot. This item was indeed made for Lilith. She continuously thanked her master for the gift she received this time. Just then Sang-hyuk's level up notification 302 appeared. Leveling up now is as hard as reaching the sky, but since there are no more limits, Sang-hyuk will become stronger and stronger. After cleaning this place thoroughly, Sang-hyuk decided to go back home. "We finished what we needed to do. Shall we get out of here?" Lilith then asked. "Are we leaving now? Do we need to take a boat and then a plane to get home?" Sang-hyuk replied, "Oh, why are you tired?" Lilith appeared mysterious. "Not really. We can get back faster. Why do we have to go that way?" Sang-hyuk didn't understand what Lilith was hinting at all. At this moment, Lilith smiled knowingly. "So shall we go?" Before Sang-hyuk could respond, the surroundings changed. Isn't this Sang-hyuk's office? Sang-hyuk looked around but still couldn't believe his eyes. Just a second ago he was thousands of kilometers away, yet he returned home in an instant. Sang-hyuk looked at Lilith, who was smirking, and shouted, "Lilith, what the hell did you just do?" After hearing the explanation, Sang-hyuk asked again. "Anywhere we want, huh?" Lilith cheerfully replied, "That's right. This castle is my source of power, so I can come back here anytime, anywhere." Sang-hyuk was flabbergasted and shouted, "Why didn't you tell me this before?" Lilith, hands on her hips, smugly said, "You never asked me." This couple really leaves one speechless. Taking this opportunity, Sang-hyuk asked further, "Is there anything else I should know?" Lilith openly shared her powers. "I'm an S-rank assassin, so I can put people to sleep and even enter their dreams." This was already common knowledge, so it wasn't a secret at all. Lilith then asked, "Did you know that I can also go to the person's location when I enter their dream?" 10 minutes later, Richard appeared out of nowhere, standing in the middle of the room. He didn't understand what was happening, sweating profusely. What is this? Why are you all here?" But Sang-hyuk was more interested in asking Lilith, "What did you do?" And according to Lilith's explanation, she entered Richard's dream and brought him here. She can only enter the dreams of people she knows. Richard stood there dazed, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. "Who is this? Where am I?" After a moment of confusion, Richard pointed at Lilith and asked, Did you just kidnap me?" Sang-hyuk looked at him for a moment before asking Lilith, "So I can also enter someone else's dream too?" Lilith was very interested in this. "I've never tried. How about we give it a shot?" The two then excitedly discussed whose dream they should try to enter, ignoring Richard as if he were invisible. Seeing the two of them who just kidnapped him planning to go play Richard, blushed with anger and shouted, "What do you think you're doing? I'm asking what you are doing." Suddenly transporting me out of my home, Sang-hyuk then spoke up. "So I'll just return all the armor from your guild, right?" Upon hearing this, Richard was stunned for a moment. "What?" Sang-hyuk continued on. "If you keep the secret about today, then I'll return all the armor that belongs to your guild members. It's worth noting that equipment in the eternal world is priceless in this reality. If the whole guild is equipped with armor, their overall power would increase to an immeasurable level." Richard still couldn't believe that something good like this could happen, so he hesitantly asked, "Really? Really?" Sang-hyuk is smiling brightly but exuding a murderous aura. "Of course. However, I'm sure you know the consequences if you break your promise to me, right?" Standing in front of Richard now is no different from facing the final boss of the Earth server. If something goes wrong, being wiped out is certain. In Hangzhou, China, at the Aben Tower, countless players are fighting for their lives to conquer this dungeon. Every time a top player falls, another top player is ordered to replace them. Anyway, China has the largest number of players. Finally, after sacrificing countless lives, this dungeon has been conquered. The news outlets immediately reported on this hot news. It has been reported that the unbeatable Aben Tower has been completed. Just this month, China has completed 8 dungeons that previously seemed impossible to break through. The Chinese government received a huge fund from the players. China has become the #1 country in the world completing the unbeatable dungeons. China plans to complete the remaining dungeons by the end of this year. The continuous juicy news has shocked players worldwide. At the Chinese Player Management Bureau, Cho In-yeon Xianglin Pong is holding a mysterious vial. "So this is the type of magic that can resurrect the dead?" And a subordinate immediately replied, "That's right. We tested it on a dying cancer patient and saw that person completely recover." Hearing this, Xianglin Pong became even more interested. "How miraculous. It even looks like juice from the outside. How is the negotiation going?" The subordinate immediately reported, "The US has agreed to pay 3 billion for each vial in the batch of 320 vials totaling 960 billion. Xianglin Pong was very pleased with this number, his face showing clear greed and desire. The subordinate then spoke up, "But sir, there are many players whose lives are in danger after the battle. Some of them are agents from the Nine Dragons Alliance." After hearing this, Xianglin Pong ordered, "Then we can give them this medicine." The subordinate was extremely surprised to hear this. He never expected that one day his greedy boss would say such things. But things are not that simple. Xianglin Pong continued, "But if they pay 3.5 billion, as he spoke, he wore a sinister smile. It's hard to believe that he sells medicine to his own people for more than the price for others." Meanwhile, at the False Face City, a meeting was taking place. Big Zung couldn't contain her anger and shouted to 500 people, "That's the number of Chinese players who have died. Those bastards only bring good things to the news. Isn't that pretty bad?" Others also began to discuss passionately, "The problem is that this is not the end. Damn it. What is the government doing? Players are dying slowly because of them. It seems they even allow low-level players without armor to participate in battles." At this moment, Azan spoke up. That's because half of the players in the eternal world are in China. They think players can be discarded because there are too many of them. Sang-hyuk listened to everything without saying a word. After the meeting ended, he called for Lilith while he was alone. Lilith, do you remember the woman we saw on the way back? The one with the black hair and black eyes? Is it really a description to call her beautiful like this? How on earth would Lilith know that the person being referred to is Luo Xiaoji? At this time, Luo Xiaoji was frowning in annoyance as she looked at the message, requesting to clean up the dungeon tomorrow. I shouldn't have accepted that offer. Just then, she suddenly felt unusually sleepy. When she woke up, Luo Xiaoji immediately checked her surroundings. Did I doze off? I guess it's because I haven't slept much. Just then, she sensed a presence behind her, disguised human. How did... Sang-hyuk immediately interrupted. That's not important. Regarding the recent events in China, is that what the Nine Dragons Alliance wants? Luo Xiaoji hesitated for a moment before speaking. There is a place called Cho-in-yon. Sang-hyuk then asked, do they take care of the players? Luo Xiaoji stepped forward and said, yes. When we returned to the real world, Cho-in-yon had already taken control of the Chinese players. When I returned with other elites in the Nine Dragons Alliance, they made us an offer. If we focus and clear all the undefeated dungeons, they would give the members of the Nine Dragons Alliance special treatment in everything. After that, Cho-in-yon sent disorganized players to the dungeons at the cost borne by the Nine Dragons Alliance. They took all the items and equipment they received from the dungeons and controlled all the players in China. This situation is the consequence of our greed. Sang-hyuk did not judge but wondered, isn't the Nine Dragons Alliance made up of the 9 strongest guilds in China? How could such a group end up like this? Luo Xiaoji answered without hiding anything. The issue is we have 9 leaders. Because opinions are always divided on important issues, I couldn't do anything on my own. Eventually, Cho-in-yon took control of the Nine Dragons Alliance and they killed everyone who went against them. Before we could do anything, the Nine Dragons Alliance had already disbanded. Knowing the whole story, Sang-hyuk smiled warmly. How many people are there? Those incompetent bastards, I want to punish them a bit. At the headquarters of Cho-in-yon, Xiang Lin-pong stepped out of the car with a bright smile and entered without knowing that Sang-hyuk was waiting nearby. Sang-hyuk looked straight at him with a cold gaze as if looking at someone about to die. No one was aware of the terrible thing about to happen, so the meeting started as usual. I see. So how's the cleanup of the dungeon going? Is there anything valuable there? Upon learning that there were no SR-level items, Xiang Lin-pong seemed a bit dissatisfied. No high-level items. That's because you only handle low-level dungeons. Contact the Julong Association, tell them to clean up some high-level dungeons. No matter how many players they want, we will provide. We need at least a few SR-level items before we report back to the higher-ups. Just then, a guy suddenly collapsed on the ground unconscious. Before Xiang Lin-pong could react, all of his subordinates had fallen scattered everywhere. He panicked and shouted, "What do you think you're doing? Get up immediately! What the hell is going on?" But no matter how loudly he shouted, no one woke up. At that moment he was grabbed by something and slammed down to the ground. The one who struck was none other than Sang-hyuk. "You need to be punished if you act inappropriately." What a piece of trash! Xiang Lin-pong sank deep into a stupor. Just as he was sleeping soundly, Xiang Lin-pong was awakened by the noise, "Boss! Boss, boss, wake up!" Xiang Lin-pong startled awake in the loving arms of his subordinates. He touched the wound on his face and asked, What happened?" At that moment, his subordinates reported the situation. "When we woke up, we found ourselves here, boss. I tried to walk around a bit but couldn't find a way out." Xiang Lin-pong stared in shock at his subordinates. He couldn't help but look up to the sky and curse, "I don't know who you are, but how dare you mess with me? You better show yourself now and beg for my forgiveness or I'll find you and tear you to shreds." He cursed for a while, but nothing happened. Just then, a subordinate reported, "There's a noise over there." Xiang Lin-pong didn't care much about this. What do you mean noise? I don't hear anything." Just as he finished speaking, a red light suddenly flashed in the darkness. A beam of light zipped across his face and blew off the head of the chattering subordinate. Everyone immediately panicked, screaming loudly, and a pack of bloodthirsty werewolves rushed out to tear apart their prey. Faced with the overwhelming power of the monsters, the subordinates couldn't hold out for long. Xiang Lin-pong, seeing this, cried out in despair and crawled on the ground looking for a way to escape, but there was no way he could get away. Before long, all of Xiang Lin-pong's group had been completely wiped out. Meanwhile, Sang-hyuk was standing outside observing everything. "All the players who died are due to the decisions you made. Their despair and fear try to feel even just a small part of it, you scum." Sang-hyuk had no sympathy for such individuals. He coldly turned and left without even looking back.